Hey everybody, welcome back to Sunday Afternoon Smokes, your casual conversation podcast from the upstate of South Carolina. My name is Chris. I'm your host. I'm a realtor. I'm also the owner and operator of The Cigar Box, a mobile cigar bar that serves the upstate and beyond. Most conversations are enjoyed over a cigar while I interview the local entrepreneurs, business professionals, and entertainers that make the greater Greenville area one of the most popular places to live in the country. So I hope you get to sit back, light a cigar, and enjoy the show. Today, I'm very happy to be sitting down with Krista McFarland. Krista works at High Spirits Hospitality, but I will let her clue you in on what that is and what they do. And by now, you know, I like to let my guests introduce themselves. So Krista, take a minute, say, hey, introduce yourself, say as much or as little about yourself as you like. And while you do that, I'm going to light my cigar.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Chris. So yes, I'm Krista McFarland. I am the Director of Talent and Culture for High Spirits Hospitality, which I'll get into what that is shortly. I am originally from Canada, which we'll also get into, but I live here in South Carolina now. I live in Taylor's with my husband and our 2 dogs. And I love the upstate. I'm excited to be here. And it's really helped me grow my career and my, personal life as well. So it's been awesome.
Cool. Sorry for the delay. Now you're going to be right in the path of this smoke. I hope
okay.
that I'll try and hold this aside.
No, it smells great, actually.
Okay, well, what I'm smoking is a St. Louis Rey Serie G Robusto, and it's a bit fat now. So, yep, you got to flip that lid up.
This?
Okay. There you go.
Don't light it on fire.
There you go. And you ought to be set. So Krista is lighting up the. Oh, you didn't have any fire. Click it again. There it is. Krista's lighting up the hazelnut cigarillo from Carolina Cigar Company, my good friend Charles up in Asheville with his factory down in Dominican Republic. I am smoking the very budget-friendly St. Louis Rey Serie G Robusto. It's a Nicaraguan. It's not a Puro. It's close. It's Nicaraguan Habano wrapper. I don't know how much you know about cigars.
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me this. Yeah. So I didn't see a cigar even being smoked until I moved to the States. And I found that they came out a lot at like weddings, and they were a celebration thing. Like you always see that in the movies and cartoons and stuff. So
do they not celebrate with cigars in Canada?
Apparently not, because I never had seen one. I'm not going to lie to you. Like 22 years of my life, I never saw a cigar.
That's why.
So yeah. And it, I don't know why. Maybe it was my family and my friends. But yeah, moving here, I did notice they always come out. They're a form of celebration and relaxation.
100%.
So yeah, but I love the smell of them.
Good deal. So this is a Nicaraguan Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan Habano binder, and then a Nicaraguan and Honduran filler on the inside. Made in Honduras with expressions of nuts, earth, leather, and cocoa with spice. I definitely pick up on the spice on this already. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on cigar specifics today, other than to say that the St. Louis Rey Serie G, this is very budget friendly. I mean, you could pick this up online for like a 5-pack for $20.
Really?
Yeah, it's super cheap.
It looks fancy.
It's not.
Okay.
I mean, this is a good. There's a lot of good cigars out there that are very budget friendly, but this is one that I would like smoke while I'm mowing the grass.
Oh, really?
You know
okay.
I mean? Yeah, this is just because it's so cheap. It doesn't mean it's not fancy, and it doesn't mean it's not good. It just means it's not high end. And at High Spirits Hospitality, y'all doing a lot of event stuff with adult beverages included. You understand, like, just the lowbrow, super, and then there's your high end and all. So this is on the low side.
Yep.
This is something like and I've said this 100 times, I don't know any better way to say it, but like if I was fishing and wanted a cigar, this would be good, because if I drop it over the boat in the lake, it's not a big deal.
Or you're preoccupied and it burns. And
exactly.
It's
like $5.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal. So anyway, yeah, like I said, $20 for a 5-pack online. Great for the wood shop, great for yard work, fishing, and the like. So you don't normally smoke cigars. It's not part of your life.
No, I would say that like if I am at one of those things that I talked about earlier, like a wedding celebration, New Year's, we had some this past New Year's, and like I'm happy to take one from somebody, especially if it's a larger one like the one you're smoking, and like have a couple puffs, taste it. I will get into like kind of my culinary background, but I love flavor, and so I want to see like what I'm getting out of that, like whether I'm getting those woodsy like leathers and or more like culinary style things like vanilla, cocoa, whatever. And so I do like to try them, but I can't usually smoke a ton. This will be perfect what you got for me. So,
well, what are you getting out of that?
So I'm getting, it's really sweet on the wrapper, which I love. I don't have
It's very sweet on the lips.
Yeah, it's very sweet. And I am getting like a lot of those sweeter flavors, like a hazelnut and something. It reminds me a little bit of coffee. Like reminds me like something that would go well with coffee.
That would be excellent with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That would be excellent, honestly, with the hazelnut. You brought some Canadian goodies for me, which I appreciate.
I did.
Very grateful. We've got caramel. So what is it? Just a chocolate caramel?
Yeah. So something that every Canadian will tell you is we have the best chocolate. It's actually like we're under the British flag. So like a lot of this is very much available in any, Commonwealth country. So you're going to see these in Australia, India, other places, the Cadbury chocolate. Caramel is a bar that's broken up to, I think it's like 8 little squares, and they have caramel inside.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we've got Arrow, which looks kind of like almost like a malted chocolate milk ball in the middle kind of a thing.
So it's actually doesn't have that malted milk like crunchy in the center. It's actually just like bubbly chocolate.
Oh, okay.
It melts in your mouth. It's not like effervescent. It doesn't it's not a pop rock situation, but it has bubbles and it's very, very, very light.
Okay. And Turkish Delight.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Turkish Delight before?
I've heard of it. I've never had it.
So very popular in Europe and the Middle East. It's a jelly in the center that's made with like rose water, orange, persimmon, flavors like that.
Okay.
And it's coated in chocolate.
All right. So based on what you know about these 3 items, what do you want to get into to go with your hazelnut cigar?
I would probably recommend the caramel.
Okay,
I think that the flavors would be really good with that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna break this open and we can each have a little bit. But you also brought something we can get here. This is clearly Canadian sparkling water beverage, country raspberry.
Well, funny story about this. So obviously sparkling waters have boomed over the last 10 years. You see like bubbly and Spindrift and all these other ones. But this one has existed since I was a little kid. And in true Canadian fashion, it's loaded with sugar. There is nothing light and healthy about this sparkling water. So
Really?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm working on that part of my life.
Same.
Just kind of purging all of the sugar, but
Yes.
we're going to get it because, honestly, milk chocolate, dark chocolate, hazelnut, just all of those flavors go great with a cigar. So, if I'm smoking a cigar and I have a piece of chocolate, I'm not going to chew it. I'm just going to stick it in my cheek and just kind of let it melt and let it mix with the smoke. And that's how I like to that's how I like to handle my chocolate.
Yeah.
And it can be more than chocolate. Chocolate, whether milk or dark, peanut butter, like fig preserves would be great. And then you can go down the rabbit hole with fruit preserves and then get into cheese. And then get into wine. And I'm going to have to reach back out to him. Are you familiar with Cheese Wheel?
Oh,
Greenville?
yes.
I was supposed to have him as a guest last month, but we ran into a snag and had to cancel. So I'm already booked out all the way for the whole month of March.
Great.
So, but I'm going to reach back out to him and see if he wants to get together in April, and he'll bring a nice spread of cheese.
Yeah. I think you guys could probably discover some really cool stuff.
I think we are going to discover some really cool stuff. So, now you have let me know that in a lead up to being a guest on my podcast, you've listened to a few of the episodes to get a feel for the show, which, hey, thank you. I really appreciate that.
You are welcome.
100% honesty, because I'm all for constructive criticism and anything that makes my podcast better. What do you think?
So the first thing I noticed is I think you have a good voice for this, which there are people who don't. There's actually I'm not going to name it. There's a very popular podcast out there that's national. I love the concept of it. I cannot listen to their voices.
Really?
Oh, no. No, it's grating to the ears. Love the topic. Like, I've actually looked for another one similar.
Fingernails on chalkboard thing.
So you have a very good voice for this. Very calm energy. I liked, especially your first couple of guests. I liked, you guys just had a really good, I would say what I call a tennis match, going back and forth. Good conversation. It flows well. I also found it very educational. So I don't know a ton about cigars. I don't know a ton of, especially your first couple episodes with Sean from, I think it was Dapper Dog. Am I saying it right?
Yep, Sean from the Dapper Dog.
Yep. And then your other realtor friend, Keith. Yep. I learned a lot from both of them. And then just as the episodes went on, I was just really impressed with what I was learning with the people who I probably drive by and walk by every day.
Right.
So I liked it a lot in that aspect. I think Claudia said it. You do need more women on this podcast. But I saw that you had your wife. I've not had the pleasure of listening to that one yet, and because I'm just shuffling through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was told the same thing about my podcast, just so you know.
You need more women?
Yep. My first 3 interviews were all men.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, and I'm down to interview more women. It's just, to get more women, I really just need to interview more women, because at the end of the episode, when I ask for guest recommendations, if it's a dude, he's going to recommend a couple of dudes. So you can help me with that today.
I can.
Sure.
I can.
Well, I mean, entrepreneurship and launching a business and starting, there's women doing great things out there, and I would love to bring them on the show. And maybe I need to, I don't know, I like a one-on-one format. Next Monday, I have a 2-guest episode. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I need to move to a multiple guest, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But that was kind of my goal, with the podcast. Let me sit down with people that are doing cool things in the upstate, and let's talk to them about what they do and connect them with the community, because there's we don't have time to learn everything. No. So it's nice to talk to somebody who is an quote unquote expert in their field, and let them just kind of walk us through what they do. And then the other thing I try and do with my podcast is not just focus on what you do, but who are you as a person? Let's help people
I love that.
Get to know who you are. So I
love that.
I appreciate your kind words about the podcast, and I will work at getting more women. So how we already mentioned how familiar you are with cigars, and you said not at all in Canada. Obviously, there's guys in Canada that smoke cigars. Yes. We know this, but just the circles that you ran in and the home you grew up in, it just was not a part of your life and of your family's life and of your friend's life. But when you come to the United States, can you recall your first run-in?
Yes. I was at a wedding. It was at a very nice venue in Atlanta, and there was this big front porch, and rocking chairs and very colonial looking. And there was somebody who lit up a cigar, and I was like, but that's what that smells like. Because you hear about it oh, it smells like a cigar. I'm like, well, I don't know what that smells like.
It's a totally different smell from a cigarette, by the way.
It very much is. It's much more pleasant. And so, I was drawn in and was asking questions, and he was like, here you go, and handed it to me. I inhaled. I felt a little sick the first couple minutes, and then he was like, don't inhale. I got a few notes there of what to do, and then after that I was like, this is very pleasant. I feel very relaxed. So it was nice.
Well, I'll come back to that in a minute. I just got through the caramel on that caramel. And that's really good. And for a second it did even just remind me just kind of that I almost had that malted milk ball flavor a little bit to it. That was very good and very tasty with this cigar, by the way.
Yeah, I liked it with this one too.
Yeah,
it was good.
So that's cool, coming to America and being like, oh, well, that's a cigar, and that's what that smells like. Yeah. And like we said, it's not, for those of you listening who may not know, premium hand-rolled cigars are a 100% natural product. Wow. There are no additives. There's no preservatives. It is the tobacco plant that has been grown It's been harvested. It's been cured. You typically in an open air barn, they just hang and let them cure. Then they take all the tobacco leaves and put them through a fermentation process, which is also natural. There's various ways of doing that, but one of the old ways is called and I'm not going to say this right, but it's called a pilon. It's like it's just a pile. They take all the tobacco and they stack it up on top of each other in a big, almost maybe sometimes a big circle or a big square. And when I say stack it up, I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 feet high.
Wow.
And it's sizable. So what happens in that process is all the air gets trapped in between the leaves and it begins to heat up. It's more or less composting.
Yeah, exactly.
What's happening. And in that process, the ammonia that is mostly gotten rid of during the curing process, you get rid of whatever's left, and you are more or less by temperature, we're roasting and cooking the natural sugar and the oil in the leaf. It's like a caramelization process almost, bringing out the rich sugary the rich sugars in the tobacco leaf. And once they get to their desired temperature, they'll unpack the whole thing, swap everything around. What was in the middle goes on top and top goes bottom, and for evenness, right?
Yeah.
And they'll restack it, and they'll do that over and over and over until they get to their desired fermentation point on the cigars, depending on what they're making. And then after fermentation, usually they will bale it in burlap sacks, and let it sit in a warehouse until they're ready to distribute it to the manufacturing floor, where it will be rolled into a cigar. And then after it's rolled into a cigar, they will be usually packed up in cigar stacks of 50. It's called a half wheel. And then they will put them in their aging room and let them sit, usually minimum 6 months.
I was going to ask about these time stamps that you're talking about. So like fermentation, how long does that average take? Do you know? I guess different methods yield different results.
Great question. One that I'm not entirely sure about, to be honest with you. And I'm also not entirely sure about how long the curing process is. I'll probably do some more studying and more reading.
Yeah.
But,
it sounds like a labor of love, regardless.
It is.
Yeah.
It's 100. Like I said, it's 100% natural product. We don't add, unlike a cigarette that's full of formaldehyde and chemicals and God knows what.
Mm-hmm.
What you're smoking right now. Yours is a little bit different. I don't know what he used for the hazelnut. But I know the guy that makes those cigars, and he told me his process of, number one, the things that he puts on his tobacco to protect from disease and pests. It's 100% natural. He doesn't use any chemicals at all. So he's like, my cigar is 100%. There's nothing in there that's going to hurt you, So I don't know if he used like a hazelnut liqueur or what. That's probably what he did. But he puts it, he lightly saturates the leaves, puts them in a vat, puts them under pressure for 45 days, and lets them sit, force all that liqueur into the leaf, and takes it out and turn it into cigars.
It's beautiful work.
It is. I want to get down to his factory in the DR. So you mentioned your position at High Spirits Hospitality, Director of Culture and Talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've read over my notes. Like my podcast, for you people listening, it's not 100% scripted, but it is a guided conversation. I work really hard just to try and make what I think is good conversation. So you've already read everything that I've written down, but I do want to be High Spirits Hospitality. When you're in need of cigars, there's one guy that I know there's multiple people, but I just want to be that guy.
Yes.
And you've already helped and sent some emails, and I've got a little bit of work to do because y'all need that stinking additional insured.
Oh, we do.
And that costs me
I know.
dearly.
I know. My boss is a stickler for it. And years in the business, you see what can happen. You say, like, this is never going to happen. We don't need this. And then, like, literally, something happens. So it's like Murphy's Law, I guess. So, but yes, That is a requirement of ours. But there's lots of other people in the upstate that I'd be happy to connect you with. And one of the things I love to do with my job and with different positions I have around Greenville is like connecting people who can benefit from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because while I feel like there is schmoozing involved with some of the stuff I do, the goal should be like two people walk away where they feel like they benefited from the conversation, not just one. So I definitely have other people in mind for you. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, what I do as a realtor, what I do in my cigar business, what I do running this podcast, it's all networking.
Mm-hmm.
It's all meeting interesting people, finding out what they do, and then, just trying to help people, connecting who you know and their skills and talents with somebody that you know that is in need of what this person provides.
Absolutely.
And everybody wins, right? That's the goal. We want everybody to win. I want everybody to be successful. And I want to be successful. However, you define success.
Yes.
Of course, because there's varying markers of what everybody has for success.
And something I've actually noticed and thought about since you sent me the show notes is like I did look at our events and you'd ask me, how often are you actually being asked about cigars? Well, I will say that I think that vaping is ruining a lot of different things. I'm not trying to say smoking is good and whatever, but like I would say that the ease of doing like a vaping anywhere is really taking away that social element that we saw for so long with cigars and cigarettes and things like that. And I don't see nearly as many people outside enjoying like our patio or our great venue out the outdoor part because of it. And I'm more often catching them vaping in places they're not supposed to be, which we don't allow. So.
Sure. Well, vaping, I mean, I know there's some studies published, but it's still so young.
Still so young,
but,
yeah.
I think the word on the street is that it's not really good. It's not good.
No. What we're hearing so far is not good.
I mean, cigars, the studies on cigars are basically like there's almost zero link between cigars and health problems,
Yeah.
Maybe if you're smoking like 10 a day, well then maybe, but.
Yeah. And the vaping, I'm also referring to, like Zyn and pouch.
Nicotine
I'm
pouches.
struggling not to say it in a Canadian accent. Pouches.
How would you say it in a Canadian?
Pouches. Yeah, pouches. Pouches.
Yeah.
But regardless, like those little like Zyn things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also taking that. Like you're not going to get together with a friend and sit outside and pop a Zyn. Maybe not. I don't know. But you would sit on a patio like we are. Yeah.
Because I do use the nicotine pouches to my wife's dismay. She doesn't listen to the podcast, but love you, babe. But I would never say to my friend, "Hey, guy, you want to get together and hit some nicotine pouches?"
You can't even say it with a straight face.
But say, "Hey, man, you want to get together and have a cigar this week?" is a totally different ballgame.
Absolutely.
Totally different.
It's totally different.
Yeah, you can't say, "Hey, you want to get together and do some Zyn?"
Well, and these vapes now, they look like little like USB, I don't know, like they glow and light up and have fun things. And I'm like, you would again never say to another person like, "Do you want to get together this weekend and just sit outside and
vape?"
And vape? Like it's just I don't know.
No, you're totally right. A cigar or pipe
is an experience.
It's an experience. It's very social. It lends itself to camaraderie and just good times.
Yeah.
Versus, I mean, the vape is the same thing with the cigarette. Nobody's like, "Hey, man, you want to get together and have a cigarette?" Nobody does that because it's not the same. It doesn't have the same gravitas.
Gravitas. Oh, it doesn't have that gravitas. You're correct. Yeah.
At all.
The French would disagree with you, but
but
we're not in France.
We're not in France, and I like some of the things that come out of France. But
my husband is cringing somewhere, just so you know.
He's not a fan of people.
No, maybe not, but that was one of the things he mentioned to me when we first met. He's like, and I was like, he's like, "Oh, you're Canadian. Are you French?" And like the face, and I was like, they think we're all French. We're not.
So there's Canadian and then there's French Canadian.
Yes, absolutely.
And so what's the difference?
I mean, basically everything east of Quebec is mostly, French or bilingual. I went to a school where you could choose. Like you have to take French class, just probably like you have to take Spanish class here. But and then eventually you get to a point when you have to decide, are you going to take immersion, which is you take every class in French, like everything in French, or you can take it in English. And my family is English, Anglophone, so I just took everything in English. But lots of my friends chose to do that. They went on to go to French universities where you actually get in trouble and can get kicked out for speaking English. And oh yeah, and I had friends who were kicked out like the third week. They were like, "Yeah, I spoke in English too many times. I got kicked out."
Okay, so since we're on this topip, let's just
Sorry.
no. Let's just dive into it.
I love a
I'm
sidebar,
curious.
Chris.
Yeah, let's do it. And like how Canadian are you? Like, and I'll just ask it in the vein of President Trump's done a lot of trolling. You know, Canada being the 51st state.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, and I'm not trying to be necessarily political here. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But I'm just like, when he does that kind of stuff and the little tit for tat that Canada has between us and the U.S., like, are you like, yeah, Canada, or you're like, God, these people, everybody's so stupid, or like, where are you on the spectrum there?
That's a great way of putting it. So I have, as of October of this year, I have spent half of my life in Canada and half of my life here.
Okay, you're 50-50.
50-50.
Okay.
I am a citizen. I got citizenship in 2020. Oh, no, before 2020. Sorry, awesome. 2018, I think. And happy to speak on that process. But anyway, I feel like Canada gave me, if I imagine a person as a tree, Canada gave me lovely roots and a great foundation and made me who I am, because I think people there are built a little bit differently, especially where I'm from. I'm from Nova Scotia, which is as far east as you can go. And, you know, lived close to beautiful fishing villages and farms and things like that. And so I was raised kind of salt of the earth. I was not raised in a big city. I never even saw a big city for a very long time. So anyway, I did feel like it gave me a really good foundation of who I am and made me strong. And then moving to the States, it really helped bring some more culture to my life. I grew up in a predominantly white area, predominantly white province. And then, you know, coming here, I learned so much more about other cultures and stuff. So I just would say that made the beautiful leaves of the tree. And I'm not being arrogant. I'm just saying that like it grew me into who I am. Sure. And it was the formative years of my 20s and 30s and now into my 40s. So
yeah. How is the you know, America is always defined as just the great melting pot, right? And for good reason. But how's the diversity in Canada growing up? Is it just very starkly Canadian?
So one of the misconceptions about Canada is that it is painted with a very broad brush. I would say that that's not the misconception, that's actually what's happening, is painted with a very broad brush. But it's similar to here. We have different areas that have different, you know, landscapes and different people and different, just like America, right? Like, and there's pockets, exactly. And being, again, from far east is more like being from Maine or Vermont, I would compare it to, like Nova Scotia. And then you get into the center, which is you're going towards Montreal, and then you're going through into Toronto, and then you're going in through to Calgary. And I'm just naming the bigger cities just for visualization, all the way out to Vancouver. Now, growing up, I knew that there was a big Asian population in a lot of these cities, especially Toronto and Vancouver. And then slowly over time, I heard about the larger Middle Eastern pockets and European, and I mean, just you name it. It was just more and more cultural. Now, Nova Scotia changed too, but at a much slower rate. We're a smaller province. It was less than 1 million people in the entire province when I was growing up. I think it's about the size of Ohio, if I'm not mistaken, like the provinces. So imagine less than 1 million people in that size place. So it's now different. I can't speak on it now. I haven't lived there in 20 years or more. And so it's definitely changed from what I've heard. Crime rates have gone up. Things happen at a natural rate like they do here in America. We're just a little bit behind. So if you ask me in 10 years, it'll probably be where this place is now. So
yeah.
Yep, but lots of different cultures, lots of different experiences available.
So I mean, just listening to all that, I mean, you're pretty like pro-Canada and pro-America.
Absolutely.
I mean, and look, Canada's issues, whatever they may be, like I said earlier, on a local scale for entrepreneurs, I want everybody to succeed. Well, I want Canada to succeed. If Canada succeeds, that's good for us.
It absolutely
and it's good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if all countries can be successful, and I know that's a little bit of pie in the sky, but it's just good for everybody if everybody succeeds.
It is.
So, anyway, let's get on to oh, wait a minute. Well, I've got to ask, because I've never had it. Oh, what's it called? What is it, like the cheese and the gravy over fries?
Poutine.
Yeah.
Poutine.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, big thumbs up. Oh, big thumbs up. I mean, what is brown
how could
gravy? You go wrong? It has to be brown gravy.
Okay. Yeah,
gravy
doesn't sound right.
Never saw cream gravy until I moved here. I'd never even heard of it. I was like, what? I asked for gravy on something and they brought me this white lumpy gravy and I was like, what on earth is this?
What was it on? Do you know?
Biscuits.
Oh.
I didn't ask for that. I just asked for
good.
biscuits and they brought it.
Well, where did you have it?
To be honest, it was homemade. So that's, I think,
Okay.
a better, because I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't go to Waffle House for 5 years after moving to the South because I thought they only had waffles. And I don't like waffles.
Honestly, I mean, so I'm from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Southeast Texas. I know Waffle House is like, I don't know, some people treat it like it's the friggin' French Laundry of the South.
Well, especially if you live in Atlanta.
I'm really not that interested in Waffle House.
Yeah. Okay, good. Then we can
not-
move on with our lives,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's just not that great.
So I didn't have it there. I had it homemade. I was like, this is good. But if you're eating something, it does not look appetizing. Like, it does not.
Let's be honest.
It just doesn't look appetizing. So I was like very confused. I was like, why is the biscuit the same color as the gravy? This is, especially from a culinary aspect, this is very off-putting.
Yeah, but it's so good.
Eh.
Biscuits and gravy, man. I mean, I mean, and there's either just straight gravy or there's sausage gravy if you want to do that on the biscuit.
Guys, you can't see him, but he's glowing right now talking about
Yeah,
this.
it's all the stuff I stopped eating.
Well, being from the South, I know it's part of your upbringing, and yeah.
Yum.
And now I've learned to appreciate so much of it.
So poutine, fries, cheese curds, is that right?
Correct.
Smothered in brown gravy.
Absolutely. Everything
Is
needs to
there
be really
anybody here
Mhm.
in the upstate making poutine?
So I had it at Local Q one time. They did their version of it. And of course, their gravy, like the gravy needs to be like a traditional beef gravy. And they were doing like I think it was some play on like a barbecue gravy or brisket gravy or something. And so it was fine. And honestly, that was one of the ones that stuck out to me because it was not terrible. Are we getting melted?
Yeah,
the chocolate.
The chocolate's in the sun.
Yeah,
that's never a good move.
But yeah, so they did a pretty good version of it. Again, living in Atlanta, they had more places. They have a food truck there that does it, and they have a big Canada Day Fest every year. The food truck's there. I usually find myself eating 2 servings and then napping in the corner because it's not.
It sounds great. It sounds like something I would totally smash. And you have. We're a little bit ahead of ourselves, and that's fine. But the topic of poutine was not in the notes. It just came to me since
it naturally just comes up.
Yeah. So, and you have a pretty big culinary background.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you make at home?
So I don't often because I believe in the homemade gravy or bust. Like you have to have it. My friend does send me packets from a place called Swiss Chalet, which is it sounds French or European, but anyway, it's a chain of restaurants in Canada that does rotisserie chicken, and they're known for that and their French fries and gravy. So she sends me stuff from there, and I'll make it with that because it's the most close to like home style. But I prefer to make the gravy from scratch. The cheese curds are hard to find, man. Like, you need the squeaky cheese, it's key, and you can find cheese curds at like Publix, but they're not the squeaky cheese.
I wonder if you could get them from Cheese Wheel.
I would love to talk to him about that, and I need to ask. I have not taken the time to ask him, so I need to. And then the fries have to be preferably deep fried, really crispy, because they have to hold up in all that mess that you're about to pile on top. And it's a labor of love also.
I bet it's great.
Yeah.
It's got to be so freaking good.
It's
You've got this very flavorful, savory beef gravy.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're talking about when you mention like squeaky cheese.
Thank you.
I know what you're talking about.
Honored.
So you've got to have that, and then to provide a textual contrast in the mouth, the texture, crispy fries.
Crispy fries.
Fried preferably in beef tallow.
I mean, if you're going
high
McDonald's route, for sure. I mean, like, I believe in the use of beef tallow. I know that they moved away from it for so they could accommodate vegetarians at like fast food places, and obviously it probably got expensive too. But I like to use duck fat, beef tallow, things like that.
Oh yeah, duck fat fries are great.
Oh,
beef tallow fries.
So yeah,
so much better for you than actually
canola
oil or any other oil, and the flavor is better.
It's so much better. It's head and shoulders above.
This is turning into a food podcast.
It is,
which is fine because I like food a lot.
I do too. So this is a good match.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back to that, but let's get to High Spirits Hospitality. Okay. And so before we get into the weeds with what I will just call either High Spirits or HSH from now on, I'd like for you to tell us a couple things. Number one, what does High Spirits, or what is it and what do you do? How do people get in touch with High Spirits if they need the services you provide? And three, how can they follow High Spirits on social, or you also if they'd like to?
Sure. So High Spirits Hospitality is obviously a local hospitality company. We started in 2011 with Liquid Catering. So that's our bartending company, and it's mobile, similar to the cigar box. And that started in our CEO's garage, very a la, Amazon, any cool company from back then. And so she started it there. She was working at Sticky Fingers Barbecue, and she constantly got asked, like, do you know where I can get a bartender and some beer to go with all this barbecue I'm buying? And so they said, she was like, there's something here. So she started this business with just like one employee and
herself.
Yeah. Well, and one other person who I call her Jerry Maguire, because it was kind of like, who will go with me? And this guy who still works for us was like, I'll go. It wasn't really like that, but I like to imagine it like that. I wasn't there. But so they started that, work together, and now we serve venues, festivals, corporate events. We are actually here a couple times at C. Dan Joyner. And am I saying it right?
C. Dan Joyner.
It's a yeah. And then a lot of similar things in the upstate. We've done festivals. We do a lot of weddings, but big corporate celebrations, really anything where, a celebration is needed. So
that's the function of the cigar box.
Yeah.
Anywhere there's a party.
Exactly.
And you want to plus it up.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. So then out of that, she started running what was called the Old Cigar Warehouse, ironically, which is now New Realm Brewing. R.I.P. Old Cigar Warehouse. But anyway, when you have a venue and you're serving lots of alcohol, you need security. And so she was hiring out security from different places and different companies. And there just wasn't a consistency there. She didn't have much control over the uniform, the training or anything like that. And so being her, she's a fantastic entrepreneur. She was like, let's start another company. This is a theme with her for sure, which I adore about her. But so she started Bravo One Security. It's a private security company. We do armed and unarmed services. That started in 2014, so about 3 years later. And we have lots of different contracts around the city. So we're functioning at all hours of the day, 7 days a week, different sites. But we also do the security and event staffing for Fall for Greenville, Artisphere, Jazz Fest, and other citywide events. So anybody you buy those tickets from to get beer and food and everything, you're doing that with volunteers, but the people kind of manning the booths and stuff, that's Bravo. Any security that you see around the city during those festivals, that's Bravo. And you'll see me running around with 3 radios and probably like a chicken with my head cut off. But yeah, because I'm also part of the security team and the operations team for that. So yeah, so we do all those big festivals. We love working with the city of Greenville. They're great people, very creative, and they have a passion for this too, just like us. So then you have events at Judson Mill. So it's our other company that we have 2 beautiful venues at Judson Mill District, which is over off Easley Bridge Road in the West End. It's a former textile mill, which is, all the rage now. You take those old textile mills, you'll turn them into things. And I do like to see like that's happening. So it's got that old school exposed brick look, lots of reclaimed wood and things like that. One of the venues is a little larger. It holds up to like 500 people. One of them's a little smaller, more intimate for up to 200. And I mean, you can rent out both. We've had that happen too. They're connected by a courtyard.
That's so one of our top agents here, Melissa Morrell. That's where last year she had her bourbon for boobs.
Yes. Yep.
Right
that was at the
there.
Foundry.
Yep.
Yep. That's a music venue that's on site, and they're great to work with too. We've done some work with them. So people get really creative with the venue. You know, there's a courtyard joining both of those. And so, like, for instance, we have a great festival coming up that I'll talk about, but we'll use both spaces plus the courtyard for that. And so, yeah, people get really creative with these big events, and we love to see it. We do a lot of things with Euphoria, really notable things like BMW global events, Homes for Hope, Greenville Fashion Week. We had the Rouge Ball there the other night, which is a great organization for eating disorder awareness. American Cancer Association, Shuck Cancer, you name it. So.
Yeah, I had actually last year somebody from High Spirits reached out to me about a thing with BMW, and everything was set up. I was supposed to be there, and then they wrote back and said, we got to cancel because they want a bigger trailer than what you've got. And I'm like, really, dude? This thing's freaking sweet. You got to see it in person.
This is embarrassing for me.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was the big Airstream looking thing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I see a need for both at certain things.
Here's the thing, and I've said this before, and to the people that have the big trailers, I mean, that's great, good for you. I'm not knocking your setup or mine, but I just feel like if you have a big renovated trailer like that, it's cool for like 10 minutes. And it's cool for a photo op, but at an event, people aren't hanging out an hour and a half to smoke a cigar in your Airstream. They go in, they get a cigar, maybe take a photo, then they're out. And so what I've got is this cool custom-built teardrop. You walk up, we hang out, we get what you want, and you're on your way.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit in a bus and smoke a cigar.
Exactly.
It's like, and I'm not knocking them either. It's beautiful to look at. It was a great photo op. They were very nice people, but I see your point.
Yeah, that was originally my plan until, you know, when you have a vision for something and you're just started like, ooh, this is what I want. And you don't think about all the things it takes to get there. And you're talking like $30,000 or $40,000 by the time you buy this thing and do the renovation. I'm like, nah, I don't really have that. So let's do something else.
Yeah, and I think what you have works for you.
Yeah, it does. It's and I'll talk about it, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'll probably say enough about it here. I always run a little ad for it, but it's number one, it's super custom and beautiful, but it can go anywhere. You know, if you've got something going on inside, I can get through double doors. It fits in the size of a parking space. So it can go everywhere the Airstream can go, and it can go places the Airstream can't go.
Yep.
So it works for me, and I'm very happy with what I've got. But anyway, this is about High Spirits.
So yeah, we also have the 405, which a lot of people are familiar with because it's right off the Swamp Rabbit Trail across from the Croc Center, kind of perpendicular from the Croc Center, and it's a big, large white building. If you run down the Swamp Rabbit Trail, you see it. But it's a big venue. It holds like about 850 comfortably, but we can do much smaller things there too. Our team is, very good with, making that intimate, even though it's a huge space. But we've had a lot of great events there too. Actually, just went to one last night for Euphoria, and it was excellent. So it's got a big back patio, and between both of the spaces, we can accommodate almost like any event, really. Like it's nice to have that variety. So we also have High Spirits events. So that's a large scale event company that we put on a lot of food and beverage kind of festivals. And our most notable one is probably Tacos and Tequila. That's been around the longest. I think we're going into our 9th year, maybe 10th. Woof. But that's exactly what it sounds like. Great chefs and bartenders from around the area. They will bring their best taco, their best tequila beverage. And we have judging. We have People's Choice. We do, give up prizes. It's a lot of fun. We do Hog and Barrel, which is our bourbon barbecue bacon festival. Yeah, I know. I knew this was coming.
Man, I mean, I'm down for tacos and tequila too.
I know,
but cigars are great for that too. But
we're gonna talk. Don't worry.
But bourbon and swine.
Yeah, natural with a cigar, right?
Perfect.
Yes. So we will be talking, and I've already Obviously, you know that I've already mentioned a lot to our team, and they're like, they want that darn insurance. So
Yeah,
we will.
I'll make it happen.
I have faith in you, and I know you can do it. So then we have Bubbly Side Up, which is actually taking place March 1st. I know by the time this comes out, that will have come and passed, but that's a great one. It's all brunch-based dishes and brunch-based cocktails. Again, all the same thing for every festival. Judges, local chefs and bartenders, because we want to team with our local hospitality groups, and it's a really fun time. So I actually have a discount code for your listeners.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, for tacos and tequila. If you use the code GVLFUN, so GVLFUN, you do get $5 off your ticket. So, and that's on May 4th of this year. Just remember Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
GVL 10?
GVL Fun. Oh, GVL Fun. Yep. GVL FUN for $5 off.
And that's for the tacos and tequila.
Tacos and tequila.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right.
So, and then the last company, we have a beautiful Airbnb company called High Spirits Overnight. We have 4 units in. I know. I was like, I hope you have time for this. And so High Spirits Overnight, we have 4 Airbnbs that are inside Judson Mill. So if you've ever wanted to do a little staycation, or if you want to see what it's like to live in the lofts of Judson Mill, because a lot of people are interested, and it comes with a higher ticket price, obviously, because you're living in close to downtown in a really cool loft situation, but you can try it out for a night. So we do have a lot of our clients and, guests of weddings and corporate events and stuff stay there. So they love it. And it gives them a chance to kind of explore Greenville at the same time. So, and it is great for those festivals too, because we want people to be, cautious about drinking and driving, so they can book one of those for the night. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like High Spirits and all of your branches, for lack of a better word. It's just basically, if there's a party, you've got it covered.
If there's a party, we want to be involved, just like you. So the best way to book us, just go to highspiritshospitality.com. You scroll to the bottom of the page, there's an inquiry form there, and so you can go look into the venues. We're very transparent with like pricing and availability, because we don't want to waste your time. Security services, you can go to bravo1protection.com. That's the number 1, bravo1protection.com. Liquid catering, so for bar services, that's liquid-catering.com. And all of these have inquiry forms. We'd like to make it easy on you, like to be transparent. And then you can keep an eye out for our signature events like Hog and Barrel, Tacos and Tequila, and Brunch Fest on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. All of those companies are all on there with all of their names just as we're listed. So very easy to find.
So you stated that you are the director of talent and culture, and you said, quote, you're responsible for the team that carries out HR, recruiting, company culture, and training for all divisions of the company. And considering everything we just talked about, that's a lot. So the last part, training for all divisions of the company, is that like a third hat you're wearing, or is that an explainer of what it means to be the director of culture?
Yes. So that's more of the explainer, what it's like to be the director. So I have a great team. I adore them so much. I hope they're listening, because I just love them so much. But I have my HR person, I have a recruiter, I have a trainer. We have, myself and the group, we do the company culture together, and then scheduling. So we have all of those things in our department. And again, my team helps carry those things out. I'm, obviously try to be the driving force and inspire them and guide them and provide them with whatever they need to do their job. So that's part of the directing part of that whole kind of conglomerate of things happening within my department.
Sure. And when you say you're the director of talent and culture, that means of course you can explain and correct as necessary, but that means you're looking for people that have the skills to fill the role that you need filled. That's the talent. And B, for people with the attitude and vibe that matches the company ethos.
Absolutely.
So that's the culture.
Yes.
And that's about right.
Yeah. So the culture we'll get into a little bit, but I'm looking for people who believe that nothing is impossible, to achieve. And we at High Spirits don't rely on college degrees and, gender and, just like things that are traditional. I'm going to take gender off the table. I feel bad for saying that, but like we don't rely on college degrees to to drive who we hire. We're looking for people with, experience and passion, and I think that makes us different. It's a very all hands on deck approach too. So I'm looking for people who are like, I'll do whatever. I'll do whatever you need to do to accomplish this mission. And that includes people like our CEO, our finance team. I mean, they're in it with us every day at these festivals and stuff. I mean, I had somebody tell me literally last night that they worked with my CEO for an entire day. They work for us. They're a part-time bartender. They were like, I didn't even know it was the CEO because she had her pant legs rolled up. She's unclogging a toilet. She's running to the next room. She's, helping change out a CO2 tank. She's running to the next room. She's running dishes. I mean, she blends in because she's doing it too. So that's actually the attitude that she's set the expectation for everybody we hire. So that's one of my jobs is, obviously I'm looking for great people, but I'm also looking for that can-do attitude.
Well, at any level, I mean, whenever it's your baby, when it's your company, you want, how do I want to say this? Whatever it takes for this thing to work. And so if that means I, as the CEO, have to clean the bathroom, so what?
Yep.
I'll clean the bathroom.
Exactly.
It's not a big deal. Like, there should not be any task on this list that is beneath you. I mean,
agree.
And now, obviously, you need to look at that list and you can prioritize. And as the CEO or whatever, you can say, what on this list is the best use of my time and what can I delegate? But I'm willing to do all of them if I have to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you want the people that work for you to have that same attitude.
Yeah. Our motto is, we got this. It's on the back of, it may be on the back of my t-shirt. I'm not sure. I don't look at the back of my t-shirt a lot. But we have it on a lot of our branded clothing and things like that because we got this. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. So that's like the company
ethos. Like, we got this.
Yeah, it is.
That's the outlook. And since you're the director of culture, how do you take that? Since you also handle all of the training, how do you take that attitude that you want from the CEO down, and then get it into the rank and file people? So the first thing, I believe, starts with me and my attitude and how I approach it. If I believe in it, I think I can get other people on board, and I do believe in it. So that part comes naturally. But then when you look at how I like to look at my past experiences as how I try to run everything. So I've worked for companies where the first day I was quote unquote thrown in the deep end of the pool with no instruction. And I say, how did that make me feel? That's hard. So, through that, we've set up, dynamic orientations that are sometimes all day or multiple days. We look at and break down each part. What is going to make people uncomfortable or nervous about going into the unknown? And that actually I've found has changed as we, move through generations. It's become more and more important to people. I would say that like my parents, they probably were thrown into new jobs and they were like, I'm just going to do whatever, Now, if I had children, which I don't, I think they would walk in and be like, I need every detail you can give me because that's the day and age we live in. So I look at it as, how much information can I give that makes sense without giving, not too much that makes them overwhelmed, and lay it out in a way that makes sense. So we do a lot of different mediums. In orientations, we have, videos and Canva presentations and, me or another trainer speaking, and we just try to make it as connecting as possible, engaging too, like asking questions and trying to bring that out in people. So I think getting people in the rank and file is getting them to believe in the mission, and naturally, like, as long as I'm and my team, as long as we're giving out and the information that they want, they should be comfortable with what we're asking them to do. And I hope that's not too vague, but I do feel very strong responsibility that every person who leaves orientation or leaves an experience with training, that they feel like they have the tools that they need to do their job. Yeah. That's my job. Sure. Well, when you take a person, just to use your previous example, you've been hired at a company and they just throw you in the deep end. That's highly stressful. And of course, that if you don't perform, then they're breathing down your neck. But you're like, I don't know what you want me to do. So the more information you can give me the better. That way I have a very clear understanding of what's expected of me.
Yes. And expectations to me lead into accountability naturally. So if I tell you as an employee what is expected of you and I do a good job of explaining that to you and your job and the requirements, the accountability factor later should be easier for both of us. You should be able to take accountability for your responsibilities, and I should be able to hold you accountable.
100%.
If I don't lead you in a proper way, I don't have a right to hold you accountable for things that were out of your control, nor should you. I mean, that's where a lot of employees kind of shrug and go, I didn't know. And naturally, that happens too. Like there's always things that come up, to be clear. But I do feel a very strong responsibility for making sure that doesn't happen too much.
Yeah, it's very frustrating for for lack of a better word, I don't even know what the term, like low-level employee, I don't want that to sound condescending, but there obviously is positions within a company.
We call it associate level.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not that PC.
It's HR. It's fine.
I'm not that. So it's always very, very frustrating to an associate level employee when management won't take accountability. But you have to, because nobody's perfect, man.
Nope.
It doesn't matter if you've got a manager attached to your title or director or whatever. You're not infallible. So just give me the tools that I need to succeed, and I will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
It's really important. And it kind of came naturally to me because I want people to be set up for success. In my past careers, if I saw somebody fail because of bad management, and it is a very popular thing, there's data that exists. People leave jobs because of managers, not really because of jobs. And I didn't want to be that manager, and I don't want my managers to be that manager. So I train the managers too. I mean, I think that it's I said to an employee today, it's kind of like a shower head. If you walk into your shower and your shower is spraying everywhere and it looks erratic, you look at the head, right? You look at the shower head. I mean, if you walk in and it's spraying beautifully, the shower head's doing a good job. So I liken myself to the shower head, which is a really weird analogy, but it's how my mind works.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, leadership from the top down.
Yeah.
You got to have it. And that is an interesting thing, that people leave jobs because of managers, not because of the job. It's true, though. I mean, as a manager, I want to do whatever I can to make your job the easiest for you to do, and help you along the way. That's just part of leadership. You are now interview number 17 since I've started this podcast.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I've talked to quite a few people in the business world, and one topic, though, that I have not really discussed with those people is hiring. I think culture is hugely important, and honestly, culture may be more important than talent in some regards, because I think about myself in my business. If I'm talking to a 30-year-old guy that I want to hire as an employee of the cigar box, I can teach him what he needs to know about cigars. I can teach him how to interact with clientele. But if he's got the wrong attitude and the wrong outlook, that's not something I can fix. That guy, I mean, I feel like that starts in your home when you're like 5 for mom and dad, right? That guy would be a liability to my brand, and I can't afford that. And so I kind of presume that's what we're talking about when we bring up culture. Yeah, no, maybe.
Yes, you are in the you're in the ballpark for sure. And you're in, like, it's not a one-dimensional thing for sure. One thing I would say that, like, anybody who works for me or works with me, you could ask them. One of the things I say all the time is, I can teach any skill. I can't teach you to care. You know, and that is one of the biggest struggles that I have with employees, because they can hide behind their skills for a little while, and that's great. But they can't hide the fact that they don't care.
It's character.
Yeah, it's character, and the reverse is the same. So if you come as an employee and you show me like, listen, I don't know, I'll use your 30-year-old employee that you're talking about.
Yeah,
He comes to you and he says,
he's
Chris,
a make-believe guy, by the way.
He's make-believe. Let's call him Jeff.
Okay.
Jeff.
Sorry to all the Jeffs out there.
No, I'm going to speak very highly about Jeff for a second.
Okay.
So Jeff comes to you and he says, listen, Chris, like, I love what you're doing. I'm a big supporter. I love your cigars. I love what you're doing. I think I really could be an asset to you. I'll do whatever you need. But I don't know anything. Like, you can teach me. And so it's the reverse there. I'm going to take that employee all day. Like, I'd rather take a very green employee on a subject and teach them. And that's where my boss and I agree that, you know, the degrees are lovely. I have one. I support people who went and got one because there still is a need for those, for certain positions in certain industries. You have to have. I don't want a doctor who doesn't have a degree. No offense, but.
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
Some people may argue with me on that too, but that's where, you know, the care and the attitude and the drive and the motivation, I don't know they teach that in college. Like,
no, that's not something you can teach.
Yeah. And it may start in your home when you're young, and it may start somewhere. I mean, I feel like I'm the exception. I'm not the rule.
Sure.
So.
Well, I think even if it doesn't start in the home, I mean, there's a foundation there for it in the home. I have found in the last 4 years, I have become more driven than I used to be. And I think part of that is just out of starting businesses, right?
Yeah.
Starting my cigar company,
Passion.
starting real estate, starting a podcast, other stuff I've got going on. And when you get into that creative space, you start dreaming of other things.
Yep.
And you start pursuing other things. And I don't know, but you're right. You can teach skills, but you can't teach character. You can't teach how to care. You can't.
Honestly, it keeps me up at night sometimes because I just
Really?
I want to teach people to care, because I see these people with these great skills and great backgrounds. And then, you know, I spend some time with them training, and I don't see the care. And it's frustrating for me, but that's going to happen, and that's okay, because I'm also going to get that great other employee who comes to me with a blank piece of paper because they don't have any background. They haven't built their skills yet. Maybe they're fresh out of college or fresh out of high school or fresh out of wherever. And they're like, help me fill the paper. And I'm happy to do that. So there's different stories for everybody. And there's a lot of different careers out there where they would love to take somebody who has the skills, who's kind of a little bit more robotic, who's not connecting to the cause. I think they're called salespeople. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Saying
that to
engineers.
I'm sorry to my engineer friends who are
Yeah,
listening.
I love engineers, by the way.
I know.
You guys do good work.
Absolutely. And there's so many different kinds of learning.
Yeah,
so.
well, there's those people that are like that are just very analytical, it's not that they don't have people skills. Some of them don't.
No.
You know, but they're just very numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers, spreadsheets, graphs, charts. I mean, and I'm grateful we have those people because they serve a very important role, but
yeah.
That's not for everybody.
Right. And when I say salespeople, I'm just joking too. I'm not even like, I have a fantastic sales team at my job. They're very connected to the cause, but I've definitely worked at other places where the salespeople were there for them, and that's it. And I think that also separates, like, I've heard wonderful things about it, like a lot of groups that you're involved with, being a realtor. Like, I've heard great things about your people, very personable. They actually care. They'll walk you through every step, where there are other realtor groups out there that are just like, okay, I would like you to pay me, and then I give you a house, and that's like, that's it. Like,
I try really hard to take care of the people that hire me to either help them buy or sell a house, because buying or selling a home, number one, it's a big deal. It's a huge asset. Or honestly, it's a huge liability if you make a bad decision.
It is.
So, and then it's very emotional, right? Especially, it's very emotional for a young married couple who maybe has their first kid, and they're leaving an apartment, and they want to go to maybe a 3-bedroom home, and they know they're going to raise a couple of kids in this home. That's a big deal, and that's emotional. Or maybe, as I said on my last podcast with my broker Richard, maybe you have this husband and wife who now all the kids have gone, they're empty nesters, and they need to downsize, and they got to sell that house, and to them it's not a house, it's a home, it's a very emotional thing. I've been 30 years in this house. I raised all my kids in this house. We had birthdays, we had parties, we had blah, 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 blah. And you have to walk them through that, because to the people that buy it, to the people that's buying that from them, it's just drywall and paint and studs and carpet.
Yeah, you're right. I had that situation. I just bought a house last year. Sorry it wasn't from you. I didn't know
okay.
you. But,
no, we didn't know each other.
Exactly. But I bought it from a lovely couple who have two very young daughters, and they said the same thing. I mean, we were sitting at closing, and they said, you know, our daughters took their first steps here, and we were just dating when we bought this home, and it holds a really special place in our heart. And I'm empathetic enough that I have remembered that over the last year, because it's literally been almost a year now. But I think somebody else may have been like, okay, yeah, sign the paperwork, it's mine now. Like, but I was like, oh my gosh, and I think of that as I do everything in my home. I'm like, you know, oh, I'm sure they cooked like the first meal when they came back from bringing their baby home from the hospital, and I'm sure when they came home from their wedding honeymoon that they, you know, this is where they watch TV for the first time after that. Like, I think about those things because I'm very empathetic. But you're right. You're trying to bring, you know, some emotion to something that could be so cut and dry.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it is. I remember whenever I sold my house in California and moved to South Carolina several years ago in 2019, a place that I had really seen my kids to that point grow up some. It was emotional. I remember taking that photo in the front yard the day we pulled out. Yeah, my eyes were full of tears, because it's, to the people that bought it, it's just a house, but to you, it's a home, you know. And then the house that I recently bought here, and then just for your understanding, I went through a divorce and then remarried. After moving to South Carolina, I went through a divorce and remarried, and so my wife and I, we bought this house, and I'm the dad who sees his kids every other weekend and one night every other week and all that stuff, which I hate, but it is what it is. But when we bought this house, in the first weekend we had the kids, my wife and I had ordered a bunch of stuff on Amazon for each of them in their rooms. It's like we bought housewarming gifts for our kids.
That's so sweet.
It's like, I know this is difficult for you, just having been through, your life's been turned upside down from everything you knew, going from homeschool in California to public school here, going from just having your bio mom and dad, and now your life has been just trashed through no cause of your own. You're victims of the situation between me and your mother, and now you have a stepmom. And it wasn't, obviously you cannot buy affection. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to show love to my children.
You're trying to make it a good experience with good memories, not...
This is your home too.
You're changing the narrative.
Yeah, and so it's a very emotional thing, this house that we are turning into a home. I mean, it's just a big deal.
It is.
I don't know how we got onto that, but
we were talking about hiring an employee and providing a good experience, and what that can lead to, and we were talking about coming from, I think we were talking about, see, now you got me, but we were talking about what company culture is, which, and the culture of a lot of different jobs is important because, like I said, you work for a lovely realtor firm that, is providing a good experience versus
the natural flow of
dry.
conversation.
It is, especially if it's going well. So.
Yeah, well, okay, I think it's going well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, see, I try and work very, very hard for my clients and just not, while it may be a business deal at the end of the day, that's what buying or selling a home is. It's a business deal. I do walk that emotional walk with you, and I try and understand. I was a pastor for 12 years in Southern California. So that's just who I am. Hard to serve people. So look, let me just take a minute to talk about the cigar box. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here because we've talked about it a little bit already. But if you want to zhuzh up your next event, whatever it might be, whether it's your wedding, an anniversary, a neighborhood barbecue, it doesn't matter. You want to plus it up. You want to make it a memory. You want to have out a really sweet cigar bar. Reach out to me directly, 864-207-2316. Visit www.mobileCigarBox.com to learn more about the business, check out the photos, see what I've got going on. You can fill out the booking inquiry form, and I will be in touch with you very quickly. We carry a lot of the brand names that you will recognize: Monte Cristo, Macanudo, CAO, and more. We also carry some boutique stuff. It'll be a great time. So check out Mobile, and you can follow me on Instagram or X at Mobile Cigar Box. Now, back to Krista McFarland. It sounds to me like you fill a very, very important role at High Spirits. And I don't have to talk to you to know that. Just reading your guest preview form for me makes it clear. But you feel that it's important.
Mm-hmm.
How come?
So it goes back to something I've already touched on, which is that, some of my previous experiences coming onto a new company were a little lackluster and a little thrown in the deep end of the pool. But not only that, but I just felt like the companies themselves were really just there. I was a number. I was, one employee of many. And my job was to make them money, and that was really about it. It wasn't educational. It wasn't, how do I put this? It didn't have depth, I would say. And we weren't encouraged really to learn about the world around us. I mean, the fact that my position and my department and my mission is to, also talk about what's happening in the world around us and how we can be involved and how it affects us, I think is really great, because we all live in this world, right? And there is definitely a lot of hot button, how do I phrase this? There's a lot of firestorm around the word DEI right now, but that is a big part of company culture. But it's something I'm passionate about. And, company culture itself is, it's a shared set of values, attitudes, practices, and goals that define how things are done within an organization. So my job is to make sure that everybody is on board with that, but also to explain what those things are, because it goes back to, well, yes, every company that you've probably worked for in some shape or form has a mission statement, right? They have a vision, they have values. A lot of companies do. Some of them are more loud and proud about it, like for instance, like Netflix, Southwest, bigger companies. You hear about them, you understand kind of what they're doing, but almost every company, I can guarantee you, unless it is like a mom and pop, maybe has those things, and you won't know. For instance, I worked for a company in Atlanta for 7 years, and my owner took the time to put his mission statement on a plaque that was on the way in the door. And if I looked at every one of those employees, no matter how long they worked there, they couldn't tell me what that was. They never read it because it was never discussed. And the year before I left that company, he was like, we got to change that. He's like, I've just been operating to try to get this business off the ground, but now I want to change that. I want to change the company culture. So that's kind of where my journey began with that. And then when I came here, I met my current CEO, started working for her as her assistant. And that was a great job. I'm naturally pretty good at things like that, very organized. And she was like, I feel like you have a knack for this. Like, I'm really trying to get the company culture off the ground. And I've already got some stuff worked out. And I had this big idea right before COVID to launch this position of somebody who would be in charge of this. And I think it may be you. And I'd only worked for her for 4 months, and she promoted me. And I to this day, I'm extremely grateful for that, and don't forget that. But to me, company culture is how you feel about, how you feel on Sunday about going to work Monday is the best way that I can tell people. It's exactly that. So if you're excited and you feel ready for the week and you're like, let's go, then that's a good sign that you have good company culture. If you're like, I don't want to do this, I really am dreading it, I have what the kids call the Sunday scaries. It may be because you're not passionate about that industry anymore, that career. That's fine. That happens. But it also may be the environment you're walking into. So I'm trying to change that.
Yeah, I've been in both of those places, and naturally, just because of life, you're going to have that Monday that you just don't want to go. And it's more of the Sunday scaries. It's just like, I'm tired, I'm worn out.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to go to work Monday. But then the other one is I'm not happy at this company. I'm not really thriving there, or I don't really like how they do things, and whenever you have both of those things in tandem, it's not a good deal.
No.
So, just based really on what you're talking about, just the company culture and in explaining what those things are, the motivations, you're I mean, you're getting everybody on the same page, everybody on the same team.
Yep.
And whenever you have, I just kind of look at it at like are you a sports person?
I would give myself moderate sports person, mainly hockey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, did you watch the Four Nations face-off?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge hockey fan, but anytime it's like a matter of national pride,
Yeah.
I'm in.
You're in.
I'm down. And so I watched. I didn't see the initial game, and of course it was huge on the reels and the highlights and booing the national anthem, and then have all the fights in the first 9 seconds of the game, and then America wins it 3-1. And obviously I was hoping for a different outcome in the championship game. Now, I mean, you're 50-50, but this is not something you can ride the fence on here.
Nope.
So
I really can't.
How do you feel about the outcome?
So Sidney Crosby, he's from Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Pride and joy. Especially for my generation, he's the pride and joy. But there's lots of great players on there from Canada that now play for American teams. And if you go to any NHL game or even like Swamp Rabbits, we used to go to a lot of Atlanta Gladiators games. You look at those rosters; it's Canadians and Russians.
Was it basically Canada versus Canada?
I mean, it was basically Canada. There are a lot of great American players too, and but if you take the time to look where these players are from. And there's a reason for it. The climate is obviously the biggest factor. There was a skating rink attached to my high school, like in the same property, just the same as you would have a football field here. Yeah. I never saw a football field again until I moved to America. I'd never seen one.
Oh yeah, it's difficult to play football in Canada.
Absolutely. And then of course living in Georgia, but then I lived in Texas. The Friday Night Lights thing was
What part of Texas?
I lived in Dallas.
Okay, because I was born and raised in Texas.
Yeah, and I had a great experience there, which we'll get into.
High school football in Texas is mad, man.
It was different. It was a culture. There you go.
Talking about culture.
Yeah, it really was. And I was, polite and quiet about it because I try not to speak on things I don't know anything about, but I listened and learned as best I could. But as college, high school, you name it there. I mean, even the Dallas Cowboys, who were doing terrible when I was living there, one of the biggest franchises in the world. So, for football. So, So hockey, what were we talking about? Yeah.
We were talking about the Four Nations face-off.
Yes, Four Nations face-off. So I was rooting for Canada. Okay. I got a few little
That's
texts
the end of the show. We'll see you later.
I got some texts in the morning that were like, congratulations, with like no exclamation point, no smiley face.
All lowercase, even lowercase c.
Yeah, congratulations on your win. So it was lovely to see. But a lot of great players it's nice to see as I get older, and the players that I've known from growing up are, retiring or on their way out, and just seeing these new ones, just like anybody else who loves a team, it's just cool to see. Yeah. So yeah.
No, it was fun, man. I enjoyed the game, and there at the beginning of overtime, America was putting a lot of pressure on you guys. I was like, you got to get one in here, and they couldn't do it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that to me was like watching playoff hockey, which my husband and I joke that, hockey rule book during especially preseason and leading into it, it's a thick book of rules, right? You're abiding by these rules. You get to the playoffs, it's 5 pages. Just don't kill each other. Like, that's it. And that's what it was like with this. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Let them do their thing.
And I don't know a whole lot about hockey. I enjoy watching it when it's on. There's a lot of action. It's fast paced. I had to look up, what does icing mean? Because there's a lot of icing by the U.S. And so I got that figured out. But who's your NHL team?
Mine is the Penguins. I've been a Pittsburgh Penguins fan since I was a little kid.
Surprising.
Yeah, I mean, and it was before Crosby. Like that.
But since you were a little kid when you were living in Canada, I'm surprised you're not a Maple Leafs person. You're like Calgary Flames, Calgary, however they say
Toronto,
Maple Leaves. Yeah, I'm surprised you're a Penguins person.
So I would blame my family for that. Nobody in my household, let alone really my close cousins and stuff that I hung out with, were really big fans of. I don't live near a major city. The closest one is Montreal, and I think it's like a 10, 12-hour drive from where I'm from, straight west. And so I didn't grow up near a major city where a lot of that stuff was taking place. And so like you got to pick really like who you wanted to cheer for. And so I had some family members who were Boston fans. That's close. Some family members who were Montreal Canadiens fans. That's close. But I never really connected to either of those teams. None of the players really struck me. But in the 80s, like Mario Lemieux and Paul Kofi and a couple of the, just like watching them was like watching water move. It just made sense to me, if that makes sense. Like what they were doing, they were beautiful at it. And I've listened to you talk about baseball, football, and things like that. I think you're more of a baseball fan, is that right?
Much more.
Yeah. And so you were talking about some of the players you admire, and I'm sure like you were captivated as a little kid just watching these people do what they do for a living. And it was the same thing for me. Just watching them do what they do, I just was like, yeah, this is a great team, and it's going to be a great team for a long time. And there were a lot of great teams, and there still are, but over the years, they've acquired a lot of amazing players that have gone on to do great things. And it's just, so that team has stuck with me. Now, my husband is a Chicago Blackhawks fan, which is like our biggest rivals. So
okay. Well, I'm down with the Blackhawks, but in the previous podcast, I was talking about the reason for that. But
yes.
anything American Indian, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Blackhawks.
Braves.
Atlanta Braves, huge Atlanta Braves fan. That's our
team. Redskins.
That's right. You obviously listened to the episode. That's right. So Chicago Blackhawks. I'm also a fan of the Jersey Devils.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dallas Stars, because Texas team. Texas man.
I did enjoy going to the Dallas Stars game, and actually a lot of the kids from my high school, they fed into the farm team for the Devils. So I, watched them for a couple years after I left high school, because I was like, wow, waiting for a lot of them to pop up on that roster. But it's not exactly how it works. It's a different machine. But yeah, it was cool to see like that was a direct feeding team. So.
Yeah. Do you go to the Swamp Rabbits games here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's cool. One of my first like butterfly feelings when I moved to Greenville was driving down Academy and seeing a really cool white Range Rover turning left into the Bon Secours parking lot with a Canadian license plate. And I was like, oh my God, it's a player. Like,
there you go.
Those my people. So, yeah.
Who are they a farm system for?
Who the Swamp Rabbits are? I actually have no idea. I want to say it's EH. So it's like probably the Bruins or some variety of that. I don't want to speak on that because I'm not sure.
Sure.
My husband is screaming.
I thought maybe it was the Kings. It could be. No, that was the Ontario Reign back in California. They were the Kings. I don't know who the Swamp Rabbits are affiliated with.
Well, we could look it up.
Yeah, we're just going to consult Google really quick.
Actually, the last thing I Googled was that was at Whiskies. You'd be interested to know. I don't know, probably for work, but yeah. Let me see. So, Swamp Rabbits.
If you haven't figured this out, this is totally not part of the show notes. We just, I just had kind of a synapse fire.
It is the Kings.
It
says the farm teams are the Los Angeles Kings and the Ontario Reign.
All right, look at me knowing stuff.
Look at you. So I was wrong about the Bruins. My bad. That could have actually been the Atlanta Gladiators, but I want to say that they're different too. But anyway, so yes, the hockey thing and the fact that there is like even some kind of hockey team here was a big attraction for us too. So.
One of my favorite commercials that I've seen lately or recently, and I don't know how old it is, but it's a Bruins commercial. Mm-hmm. And there's this guy, he's wearing a Bruins jersey, and he's got his girl that is on a date at a game. I don't know what jersey she's wearing, but it's not Bruins, and it's somebody in the division. And then, he's holding the tray, he's got 2 beers in it, and he looks up, and there's the Bruins mascot just standing there. And he's just staring at him, and he steps in, and he's like, she's pretty. And he just slaps the beer out of his hand, starts fighting, pulls a jersey over his head, beats him up, and it's like, don't date in the division.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a great commercial. All right, let's get back on track. Back to it. So it sounds to me like, how long have you been at High Spirits?
So I've been there for 4 years in March.
Okay,
so
4 years
this month,
in March,
yeah.
Right. And it sounds to me like the current CEO, who promoted you 4 months in, which is awesome, has had quite a bit of an impact on you. Mm-hmm. And so, how so?
So, it was my first time since I was 20 years old, like working for a woman, to be honest. Like I had been an au pair, which we'll get into, and I worked, with women, but it's my first time. And, again, the fact that she gave me my own department within 4 months was just wild to me. I mean, she she took a chance on somebody that she basically barely knew. I mean, how well do you know somebody after 4 months? I don't know. You can still learn a lot of new things. I've been married for 10 years, still learning a lot. So, or not married for 10 years, sorry, but together with him. So, I loved my old boss in Atlanta. He is amazing. Vinny, if you're listening, love, love, love. He's been like a family to me. He actually married my husband and I. He was our minister. But I was, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I was so good at being his assistant that he was like, that's what you are. And that's fine. But as he grew the company, and he did take a lot of people, we were working in medical. And so he took a lot of people with a lot of degrees because you have to, like, it's a requirement, right? So the people that were getting promoted above me or moving into these great positions, making a lot more money or more opportunity, they had great degrees because maybe they were doctors or nurse practitioners or whatever. He has a great team there, but there wasn't really a place for me, and that's fine. But I was starting to feel like that about my life in general.
Just kind of stalled.
Yeah, and my husband was feeling the exact same way, which was ironic. So that's what caused us to move here. But anyway, so I moved here. I started working for her name is Tammy Johnson. Shout out to Tammy. And she kicked open doors for me, man. And I was beside her helping, but she just was like, the world is your oyster. What do you want? And it's hard work, but the things that I loved immediately were, that she was rolling up her sleeves, doing everything that's required. And it's not that I didn't have other bosses doing that, but she was doing it tenfold. And she also showed me that, there's so much hard work going on in that company. There's nowhere to hide. I will notice within 2-3 weeks if somebody's not, maybe less, if somebody's not participating and contributing. I can feel it out right away. And I've worked in lots of companies where there were a lot of, like, if you've ever seen Office Space, just Milton hanging out in the basement with his red stapler. Like, there was a lot of Miltons happening. And I don't, that's frustrating when you have a payroll. So I loved that. And I loved that everybody was chipping in and helping. And there just was this, feel about it. And so her attitude about that, because I, believed in the same thing, but also the kicking of the doors, it made all the difference for me. And it gave me the platform to just really do anything I wanted to do. And it made me feel like that little kid again that was being like, whatever you dream about, you can do. So It gave me that feeling again. And I hadn't had it in a long time.
Yeah. Well, the Milton's just hanging out in the basement, that just goes back to the character thing. Mm-hmm. Stuff you can't teach. Like, if you're an employee at a company, man, you got hired to do a job.
Yep.
So, go to work. That's what you're there for. But I don't know. That's just be productive, have character, show up on time, do what you're supposed to do. If you have done everything that you're already supposed to do, find out who needs help.
Yes.
And do that.
Yes.
It
get on board, basically. And I felt like I wasn't being handed things that I didn't deserve, like her kicking those doors open for me or helping me. Like, she's, use whatever, euphemisms you want, but like shattering glass ceilings, kicking open doors, whatever. Those were rewards for me for wanting to be a part of this mission and to be on board, Yep. It kind of came along with that kind of path for me. So I think it all, is kind of fell nicely into place, and she relies on me a lot, and I'm grateful for that too. I mean, she literally called me right before I sat down with you to ask my opinion about something. And I mean, to have a CEO ask you your opinion about something, I mean, I don't have that happen a ton. I did in Atlanta. My boss was, I was his right hand. He asked me all the time, but you don't get that a lot, right? Along with the respect and, again, along with the opportunities. So,
yeah. Well, most people don't. I mean, the CEOs, they talk to their other high-ranking, if it's a big enough company, right, to make their decision. So that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Now, High Spirits Hospitality, totally just crushing it. Mm-hmm. On the website, it states that y'all took home a couple of different awards in 2020, Greenville Chamber Small Business of the Year.
Yep.
And the Roaring Twenties, which is a fastest growing company award in South Carolina. Now, we know 2020 was a difficult year for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It was difficult for me in particular, but it was difficult for everybody. So, I mean, obviously you guys, you're running a well-oiled machine. Everybody's on board, and you're just like firing on all cylinders. So With high spirits, I mean, you've got high goals here.
We really do. And we have a lot of awards, like that have come to us. We, Best in Business for South Carolina multiple times over the last, I don't even know how many years. We have a wonderful PR team. Shout out to Complete PR and John and his team. But we have a great team that helps us with that. Obviously, we're doing a lot of the work, but, that's part of it too. But, these awards are great. And they sit on shelves and they're fancy. I know there's a lot in the realtor world as well, but they're great, and we're very, very grateful for them, especially when you speak on like the Greenville Chamber Small Business of the Year. That was 2020. Difficult year for everybody. And I remember when we got that in 2021, because that's how it works. You look at the year in total and then it's presented the next year. And so I remember standing it was at the Greenville Drive Stadium and sitting in the audience while she walked up to get that, and just feeling like I started crying. My team is screaming at the top of their lungs. People came up later and they're like, "Oh, you were the screaming people," because we were the loudest people there. We were so proud of this woman who had, I mean, the entertainment industry in general just pause, during COVID, and she did a lot to make sure that when those doors opened again, whatever that looked like, that we were going to hit the ground running. I mean, they were doing anything that they could to keep, a payroll going and to just try to still make it known that she was going to be there for everybody, because she knew that she had a big responsibility. And so when we did reopen our doors to our venue and we did it safely, we started, going back out into the world. She did it in a really eloquent way that I really admire. So just getting that award and sitting in that stadium and screaming for her just felt very natural. We all posed for a picture later, and we were really honored that we were being recognized for that. The Greenville Chamber is a big entity, and I'm happy to do some work with them too. But when I can, but it was a really cool feeling. And yeah, Roaring 20s and Best in Business. And I mean, the awards come and go, I would say, but my personal feeling is that, like, it must be how the more humble celebrities feel. Like, where you just go, this is so lovely. Thank you for the achievement. We have to keep going. Like, you can't rest on your laurels, I guess.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the exact phrase I was thinking of. I mean, awards are great, and it's nice to take a night and the next day. It's kind of like winning the World Series.
Yeah.
Let's party. We did something really awesome. Let me enjoy this. Let me savor it a few days. But guess what? Nobody cares because next season's coming.
Yep.
And your World Series from last year title doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. It just actually drove me, and I think it drives her, like, what else can we do? What can we do more? And that's how I've, kind of looked at it too. And again, so grateful. I don't want to come off as we're like, yeah, but we're not at all. We're very, like, we always celebrate these things and talk about them and stuff. But
well, you just can't let them put you in the mind frame of we're awesome and now we're just going to coast.
Yeah, no, there's no coasting. There's no coasting. It's just it's now, let's use that as fuel. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, let's just build on our momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. I was going to ask you about the events that y'all do, mm-hmm. but it just, I mean, honestly, talking to you, it seems pretty much like if there's an event, you want to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not super picky and choosy. You're down just to do whatever.
So I say that, but it's also a matter of, we're up for almost anything, but
it's got to make sense.
It's got to make sense. And we got to be able to accommodate it, first of all. I mean, space is space, and I think we have a lot of great ones, but definitely, space-wise, it has to make sense. Guest count, it has to make sense. There's a maximum more than there's a minimum.
Finances have to make sense.
We do micro weddings and things like that all the time, so that's great. But also, we're very cautious about what we take on. I mean, like, we were approached, I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on this, but we were approached by, like, a bare knuckle wrestling, a big company that is national, that were like, we want to hold some bare knuckle wrestling in your venue, and we were looking at it from an insurance aspect, because obviously we're big on insurance, and we're looking at,
gonna get hurt.
Yeah, right. And and we've had silly things happen that people have tried to come at us and be like, I slipped and fell, and we have a lot of things in place that protect us, hopefully, from from that happening too often, as far as being accused of that. But like that happens at everywhere, right? It's the McDonald's coffee. What was this?
Yeah. She got the coffee in the drive-through, and it was so hot she spilled it and burned her lap.
Yeah, and then it's like, how hot was the coffee? There's everything and everything with insurance. But anyway, so we have to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a lot of position of liability. And also I want it to match our values. That's part of my job is, and when they're questioning it, they will come to me and ask me my opinion, because they're like, does this match? Because that is part of company culture too, is that the decisions and the, what you take on as a company, does it match with what your vision and goal and values are? So we look at that too. And we've had some wild requests that we were like, no, that's not for us. But a lot of things we take, a lot of venues and places around the upstate won't take. So it's a little bit of flip of the coin.
Yeah, there's something for everybody out there. You can find the right person to take your party, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So take me a minute and walk me through the process of putting together a banging party for a client. Obviously, you want to catch the vision of what they're trying to capture or accomplish, but what does that look like from a practical standpoint?
So it starts with what you have in your head. So let's say that we were doing something for you. And I'm going to be very clear in saying that I work in the realm of culture, HR, training, and things like that. So I'm probably training the folks that are going to provide the service more so than I'm not selling it, for my job, but I hopefully have paid enough attention. Anyway, so say we were going to put on an event for you. We would ask you first, like, what do you have in your head? So we find out the basics of how many people you're thinking. What do you have a venue? Do you need one? Do you need recommendations for catering? Do you need florist? Do you need other party supplies? Right. So do you need a stage for a band? Do you need decor, like large scale decor, like arches and greenery, and you name it, it exists. I promise you. Large lighted lettering for picture, photo ops. There's a lot of photo op stuff out there now. A lot of Instagrammable stuff, as the kids would say. So we ask those questions first, and then we sit down with you. We also ask, of course, what is your budget? Because that's important. And again, we like to be transparent. We're not waiting to the last minute to be like, oh, by the way, you need to cut us a check for this amount. But then after that, we put it all together, make our suggestions. We do like to we work with our preferred vendors mainly, but we're open to discussing what what vendors you have and seeing if that works too, because that also comes down to culture and is it a match for us? We work with some lovely people and we obviously try to promote them as well. So we sit down and look at all those aspects and then give you, a price tag, and does this make sense for what you're trying to do? And our job is to then at that point, after the dotted line is signed, to carry out that vision for you. We do a lot of check-ins to make sure, like, hey, this is where we're at with this. Have you, just so you know, around this time, especially with weddings, there's timestamps, and so have you, checked these boxes off as you move closer to your wedding date or your event date, and just kind of work with you through every step of the process. And that's one thing I really love about our team is they're super knowledgeable, and they do care about your event. They want to make sure it goes off without a hitch. And then the day of is what I liken to a song and dance circus. It's a lot of people. And if you're the client, hopefully it's all happening behind the scenes and you can't see it. That's the goal is, we're making sure everything looks perfect. It feels perfect. You walk in, you get that feeling of excitement. And, our vision is to be the go-to provider. Our mission, was providing remarkable events. And so when you leave that, to me, remarkable means you leave that event with like a memory of it. Because I'm sure if I ask you like weddings you've been to, events you've been to, you remember the ones that you remember for a reason, because you've probably been to enough at this point that like, there's enough that are, swept under the rug you never think about again. But we want to be one of those ones again that you think about again. And, for multiple reasons, hopefully you hire us, but also that you walk away with that good feeling. So it takes a really big team, and we're grateful for everybody. We have bartenders, event staff, security, our full-time operations team, our sales team. It's a lot.
Yeah, so. That sounds great though. Nobody likes to get in that situation where you are trying to plan something really big and important, and it's like pulling teeth to be in contact with your event planner, or you're having to reach out to them and check on what's the status update, where are we at? You don't want that.
No, not at all.
You want your event provider and coordinator to be on top of it, and they should be providing you with updates after you've given them all the information that they've requested.
Absolutely. That's the idea is, we have a pretty good system where we know now when the benchmark of time is that we need to be checking in on, and as, when you have to have a caterer booked, when you have to have a florist booked, when do you have to have those things booked? And so we've got it pretty fine-tuned, and we're good at it.
No, that's great. And it sounds to me like, instead of, like, if I was going to do an event with you, you're like the one-stop shop. You're the general contractor. Mm-hmm. I come to you. This is what I want to do. And with all your connections and the multiple companies that you've got, you can just put together everything I need there. And I don't have to go find the caterer, and I don't have to find the decor person, and I don't have to find.
Yeah.
It's a one-stop shop for all of it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let me just take a minute and say that if you are looking to buy or sell a home in beautiful upstate South Carolina, I want to help you out. People are moving here in droves. Maybe you want to buy a home and grab the equity that will come over the next decade as the upstate explodes, because it is. Or maybe you want to capitalize on the great need for housing and sell your home for top dollar. As a realtor with C. Joyner and a member of Nexus Group, I'm your local expert. We offer a personalized experience, paying great attention to your needs, a service-oriented mindset, expert market analysis, and proven results. From downtown condos to spacious family homes, we will guide you through every step of the way. Let our experience work for you. Call me today, 864-207-2316, or visit my website, Chris Strother, that's STROTHER, chrisstrother.cdanjoyner.com. All right, Krista, let's get personal.
All right.
You've got an interesting background. Native Canadian, which we have discussed at length.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up in Nova Scotia. And would you say you came to the States when you were 22?
Yes, I was 22. I purposefully kind of waited to, I was pretty close to being 21 when I decided that was probably a good move for me. But I was also like, I came from a place where you were allowed to, drink when you were like 18. So it's like, I'm not going to, what'd be great? Set things back 3 years. No.
Well, there's some of the stuff that goes on here in the United States that's strange and weird, and frankly, I think is stupid.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think, you've got to be 16 to drive a car, which I think is good, but 16 to drive a car, 18 to vote, 21 to drink, 21 to smoke, 20, you can buy long guns at 18, but you can't buy handguns until you're 21. And it's like, either you're an adult or you're not.
Yeah.
Let's make a decision here. If we need to change the date of some of this stuff, and of course, then you get into like states' rights and all that. But I don't know. I just think it would be better if it was a little streamlined.
Yeah. I was about 22. So
yeah,
I was about to turn
after
22
college.
actually. Yeah.
So
yeah.
what was the catalyst? Why was, I think moving to the United States would be a good move for me. Why?
So I was living with 3 girls, and we were all on the same page in life. We were ready for the next thing. And the economy was really bad in Canada at the time. I mean, like, not the worst. I definitely found out later there are countries with much worse economies than ours, But at the time, I had friends with master's degrees who were working at like the equivalent of CVS, because like there just wasn't, one of my roommates, she was she had a master's in criminal justice, and she was working as a secretary at a law firm actually. So I mean, there just weren't a lot of jobs. I just could feel this stagnant feeling. I was working in tourism. It was fine. I paid the bills, but I just didn't feel this like drive, and I was just partying all the time, and I could feel my like the descent from the high of college and all of that just. So they were all talking about moving to Korea and Thailand to go speak English. Sorry, to teach English. They were probably going to speak English there too, and not get in trouble.
To teach English.
So they were going to teach English overseas, and I just felt in my bones that was not the move for me. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to think about it. And I explored the idea of working on a cruise ship. And then I started to hear horror stories about it. And I was like, Krista, you're somebody who really does not like to be limited in your space and ability and possibilities. So like, I just like, that's not for me. And then I heard about this program where they were doing au pair exchange all over the world into the United States. And so I was like, this actually sounds like a lot of fun. And I had a couple, because I think I had more knowledge of the U.S. than a lot of the au pairs that I met later, but I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to live and why and what I wanted to do. So I started interviewing with families.
Well, tell us what that is.
Oh, yeah. So an au pair is it's a nanny who lives with your family. So they live in either, usually an in-law suite is what I would live in. I worked for 4 different families over the years. That's what took me to Texas. And I lived in Connecticut and New York and Ohio and back to Atlanta. And so but you live in usually like an in-law suite situation where you have like your own. I was lucky enough to have my own bathroom and my own bedroom and home floor of the house. I saw some other situations where it was much tighter cause. And then I saw nannies who had their own homes on the properties. I mean, these are big. A lot of these were very wealthy families. So anyway, so that's what I came to the States as an au pair.
I had never even heard of that.
Yeah.
Until you mentioned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's an interesting path, but obviously a simple one. And I don't know if it's simple or easy. It seems. Well, look, I'm speaking out of total ignorance.
No. You don't know. So yeah, I get it. So yes, it's economically very good for a family to take an au pair because it's less expensive than sending your kids to say like an after school care or maybe a private school or something like that if they're young, under the school age. For the young ones. And then there's that peace of mind of having like somebody who you should know, go pick up your older children from school, take them to practices, do whatever is really needed around the home too. So I did like light housekeeping and cooking and things like that. And that's actually what led into my journey as a private chef later. But anyway, so that's what they do. And when I made the face, because you said like it's like an easy route or whatever, it's complicated. I mean, like imagine, if you will, that when you turned off the lights here at the end of the day, you just crawled under your desk and went to sleep. And then you got up and you showered here and you ate here and then you just went to work, right? You start to feel a little bit fishbowl-ish. I mean, you're just in the environment. And also you are with people that you don't know actually, and then you get to know them just as they get to know you, which is fair, but you know everything that happens in that home, and some of my experiences were better than others. So yeah, it was a lot. You're involved in marriages, you're involved in parents relationships with their children. You also are there for a lot of firsts, and there's a lot of resentment there. So like imagine if this woman you bring from a foreign country, I say women because I have never met a male au pair. I know they exist, but and they saw your kid's first steps, and they saw your kid first lose their first tooth, and they, like those things that, like those firsts are hard. First words, that was one of the things that always got me.
It's like you're having to share that experience with somebody other than your husband. Or whatever. I
felt guilt, and I'm not going to lie, with some of the parents, I just never told them, like, I wouldn't. Friday, a kid takes this is so bad. A kid takes its first steps, and I go, I saw nothing. And then Saturday, they come to me, and they're like, oh my God,
right.
He took his first steps. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
No, that's very,
I'm sorry.
No, that's very kind of you.
Yeah.
Very noble. You want to protect that. I mean, number one, they are your employer.
Yeah.
And you don't want to damage that. But also, I mean, yeah, you see what you see and you hear what you hear. Yeah. But yeah, from a respectability standpoint, that, you want to make sure that belongs to them.
Yeah. I could write a whole book on everything that I experienced within those like 3-4 years. It was a lot, and I'm very grateful for it. And the organization is actually great. It's called Au Pair in America. If anybody's looking for a nanny, they were fantastic. Nothing but lovely things to say about the organization. Very supportive. They give you a designated person that's like your support person that they meet up with you once a month. How are things going? You meet up with the other au pairs, so you have support for especially the girls who are from other countries that were really feeling the cultural disconnect. that I know that was important for them.
Do you get paid directly from the family, or do they pay the organization, and the organization, or how does that work?
So the way it works is there is a stipulation that like you can have a nanny for up to 2 years. At least that's how it was when I did it. It may have changed, but that's how the visas work. So the first year I was not, I could leave the country as I wanted on this, I think it's called a J1 visa. And the family paid the agency to, number one, find me, recruit me, and then they would pay me directly weekly. But then there was a stipend if you completed college courses, because it was supposed to be a student exchange program. That's what a J1 visa is. They would give you a bonus at the end of the year. Like when you were done your time with them, they gave you a bonus. Now, I will say that some families choose to pay out that bonus themselves so that you don't go to school. And that's just simply so that they can have, kind of more all access to you, so you're not required to go to school. I did that the first year and the second year, but then my third year when I moved to Texas, I actually took advantage of that and went back to school for a little bit. So yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you, but it doesn't seem so. If you've obviously chosen to keep your life here in the States, and now I know why. Like you decided to move to the States after college. And I was going to ask you if you ever had thoughts about moving back to Canada, but seeing as you actually became a citizen, it seems like you're planted.
Well, when people ask me why I moved here, why didn't you go overseas? Why did you move here? I believe in America. And I sound like I'm on Miss America right now, but I do believe in America. And I saw and read and watched so many stories of people, immigrants moving here from other countries, because let's face it, we're all immigrants, and in some shape or form, and moving here and just really making great things of themselves, and some of the great leaders of our country and great, companies and all kinds of things that have just really come from these people from other countries. And I just, again, was hitting this wall with the economy and with the opportunities available to me. And I was like, America is the land of opportunity. And I have a lot of opinions about that, which we can get into if you'd like to. But I will say America makes it very easy to be here, no matter your legal status. So there's something to be said about that. It's not that I'm against people coming here for various reasons. I think you put it very well on Claudia's episode. Like if you come here and you're providing something to the country and you give, you're becoming a part of the institution of America because you're giving something back to it, right? Yeah. And I think we all should be. Then great, be here, which I do agree with. There's the part of it that I have a difficult time with. I'm very lucky to come from a wonderful, clean, safe country, but not everyone is. And so if you knew that your neighbor's wife was being beaten, would you be like, you need to stay over there because that's your house? You know what I mean? And that's the best analogy I've got because I love an analogy, but you would be like, let's get you somewhere safer. So the people who are coming here because they're from awful places, and there are some countries, probably not as many as, I don't want to get into that part, but there are people coming from pretty awful places. Sure. And, if we can provide some respite or some asylum or whatever the word is from that would be great. And when I was going through the citizenship process, I met a lot of those people, and I sat next to them and received my certificate of citizenship, and I was crying, and I was the only Canadian. Which I was looking around at these people, and I'm like, you guys are all from, no offense, far worse off countries than me, and I'm the one blubbering like a baby because I was just so honored. And maybe it was because I'm from a beautiful, safe country.
Well, I don't think that's a matter of comparison. You know what I mean?
You're probably right.
Yeah, you have something that you're excited about and that is going to be good for you.
Yeah.
Even if it is anecdotal. But it's your life.
It was my experience.
Big deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that this person is coming from some terrible place in Africa somewhere. Right. That has no bearing on your life and your experience.
You're right. And I actually, nobody's ever said that to me, so I appreciate that. No, it was my experience.
I don't think you have anything to feel guilty about.
Thank you. But I did feel that way, and I did see people in the audience because it was around 135 of us at one time that got our citizenship that day, and I saw people from countries that I have no doubt are just hard places to live who are very emotional as well. And I didn't have to give up my citizenship, but a lot of them did. And so them knowing that they can't go back to where they're from too, I mean, that's very different. Like I can. I'm very grateful. I have 2 passports. It's one of my prides is to hold them both and be like, wow, you have,
Sure.
You have this, and I did work for it, but anyway, yeah, like I just, that's my one opinion about it. That is a little bit different than probably what's happening in mainstream media right now.
Yeah.
Is sure, like let's have a process and make it legal, because that's how I did it. So I'm a big fan. I
same.
Paid my dues.
I'll just say it the way I said it when Claudia was on. If you didn't listen to not you, but the people who are listening, if you didn't listen to that episode, I think, and this is for me in particular, but I think it's probably for most Americans, if you want to come to our country, that's fine. Just come legally.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that we come legally and be a productive member of our society. We have enough issues at home with our own people that we're trying to sort out that it's difficult to take on more freeloaders.
Yeah.
And maybe that sounds a little harsh. Maybe not. I don't know, but be productive. And of course, we have a certain set of values that we live by in this country. And it's, but basically those values are the same in every other country. Don't murder people, don't rape women and little girls. Be honest. Like if you just do those simple, basic human things, we're not asking you to, like, you left your country for a reason.
I did. It wasn't going well.
I didn't mean you.
Oh, right.
In particular, the general you.
Yeah.
Don't come here and try to fight against our system and turn our country into the place that you left. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not saying you can't have your culture, because do I want to experience genuine Brazilian cuisine? Absolutely.
Right.
But the things that you really, really disliked about your culture in your home country, well, maybe not repeat those here.
Well, and I want to be clear about something too, because I did say, that America makes it easy to be here. That is something that could change. Like and probably will change, but way in the opposite direction. The pendulum is probably going to swing too far, in my opinion. When I moved here on a J1 visa, they were like, would you like a social security number? And I was like, what? And
what's that?
Yeah. Like in Canada, we call it social insurance. It's connected to your health insurance and other things, right? And it is connected to your credit. But you can't just get one of those. Like you have to. So I was only here for not very long before I went and got a social security number. And then it was like, would you like a credit card? Would you like a cell phone? Would you like a car? What do you want? We'll give it to you. And I was just like, wow. This is how it's easy, just so everybody knows. Now,
see, that's frustrating.
But hear me out. I would just want to finish.
Yeah.
It's not that I think that you shouldn't be able to come here and get a phone. I can go to Japan right now and get a phone out of a vending machine. I mean, the phone part is no problem. But the things that come with those bigger ticket items, like a car and things like that, that's debt. And I mean, great. I don't anyway. Mainly what I'm trying to say is, like, if you are going to make things available, but they should be basic things like renting and whatever. If you're here, like, look into why someone's here. Don't just hand these things out. And also, like, there are programs. They may cease to exist soon, sorry to say, but like there are programs for people who come from really bad countries that need it. There are asylum programs, and that has existed since Cuba. The whole, you know what I mean? Like,
sure,
not since Cuba, but you get what I'm saying. So, like, I am a fan of doing it the right way.
It just like, not clicked.
He's like, since the inception of Cuba. But I am a fan of doing it the right way, but I also want to do this with grace. I want people to understand. I'm not trying to put up walls and figuratively or metaphorically or whatever, literally. I want it to be done in a compassionate way that is a good filtering process. So it isn't just everybody, but it's, because I work with and know a lot of really hardworking people who've come from other countries too, Claudia included, and they are providing value and stuff, and it is how it's approached. But no offense, that part made it a little easy for me to be like, oh yeah. I mean, like I had debt in America before I even had a green card.
Sure.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
I have an opinion about that.
Yeah.
It's, who the hell gave me a Victoria's Secret card at 22? But nobody should have one of those. But they were like, yeah, you can have this. I'm like, what? They're like, well, you have a social security number. You can have whatever you want. So anyway, That's something that not a lot of people know. Now, the path to citizenship is not an easy one.
Nor should it be.
There's only 2 or 3 paths, and some of them are, a little bit more forgiving than others, but there should be more paths, but again, more stringent, in my opinion. There are too many people, getting married just because that's the easy path. There are too many people, who get coerced by a loved one who lives in America to bring them here, and then they, take off. I've heard lots of stories. The au pair in America thing, I heard stories of girls getting on the plane from other countries, getting off the plane in America, and then just jetting. And their host families never saw them again. And they then stayed here and did whatever they did.
Right.
And you can cancel visas and whatever, but they're here.
Yeah, they're here, but good luck tracking them down.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but it's going to take...
Yeah. So I do believe that it needs to be handled with a lot of grace, but a lot of legalities, if that makes sense. And that's my personal opinion. That does not reflect the opinion of High Spirits Hospitality. Yeah. Just so we're clear.
Well, my opinions do reflect this podcast and the Cigar Box because I own those companies.
Oh, right. Then it's a great thing to be able to just say that, right?
Yeah, this is who I am.
If you listen to my podcast, I'm the same way.
It's your podcast.
That's my podcast. I'm going to say what I want.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep, I hear you. All right, so you also mentioned that you were adopted at a very young age by a gay male couple. And I'm going to make a presumption here, but I would imagine being really young that's just your life. And you're not really aware that you're being raised in what, we would consider a traditional home.
Yeah.
But at some point, obviously, you come to the realization as you grow and get older that you are not in a, traditional heterosexual home. So did that have any kind of impact on you? And if so, how did you work through that? Maybe it didn't.
I call them my gay parents. Some people are like, and I'm not saying this because you did, but a lot of people are like, your dads. No, they're not my dads. I have a biological father. I actually know my biological parents, and I can talk about that too if you'd like to. But anyway, they were very good about providing the most normal version of a home as possible. I mean, they actually did not even share a bedroom, so that if I had friends over, they could feel very comfortable knowing that these 2 men, and this is the very early 80s Canada, which was much more liberal than I'm sure it was here at the time. But they were in separate rooms. They had plus they liked having their own rooms. I know lots of couples who do that, heterosexual or not. So, but anyway, the first moment, and I will never forget, I was in 2nd grade, and they were like, "Okay, it's time to make Mother's Day, gifts." And I was like, whoops, what do we do? And I just looked at them and I was like, I pull my teacher aside. I'm like, what do I do? And she goes, well, you can make 2, and then you can make 2 for Father's Day. I mean, she was very cool about it. But later in life, that got harder and harder. And there were blips of time that I stick out in my mind. But for the most part, it was really, as you said, it was my upbringing. So I didn't notice any different. I was in the bubble.
Yeah.
I was in the bubble. I was in it. And so, yes, later on, there were things that happened that made me very aware of my situation through friendship and dating and things like that, where it became apparent that I was different or I had been raised differently. And it was a point of contention at some points for people I would meet in school, guys that I would date, sometimes parents of my friends or guys that I would date. I would say that overall it wasn't the worst experience. I've heard horror stories, but other than a few blips in time, it was honestly a lovely upbringing, which is what has led me to do a lot of ally work for LGBT plus community, because to me, I was very safe and very loved for many years, and very, guided in a healthy way, that I knew a lot of people that I was going to school with who were in a traditional home that weren't having that experience. And it was like, tell me who I'm safer with. I was much safer with them than I was with my biological parents. So,
sure.
Yeah.
So when did you reconnect with your bio parents?
So truth be told, one of my gay parents is actually my uncle. I feel like everyone has a gay uncle, a gunkle, if you will. But so he was my mom's brother.
So there's always been.
Yeah. He was always there. He was always in my life before the adoption, after the adoption, and.
Well, I just meant always a connection to the bio parents because it's your uncle.
Because it's my uncle. So my biological mom and dad were never married. I was the product of basically what I would call a one-night stand. I have a very short fling. And My mom and dad, biological, lived in separate separate towns because we're in a very small place. So they live, but it would be the same as if you were in Greenville. My mom lived in Taylor's and my dad lived in Simpsonville. Like it was just natural. And my dad ended up remarrying, and she had 2 kids from her previous marriage. And they made a lovely little family unit, and that went on for years. Sadly, she passed last year, and that was hard.
Sorry.
She was a lovely woman and a big part of my life. And my stepbrother and stepsister I adore too, and so I was around them. Other than that, I was an only child, so it was nice to have that brother sister element that I saw a lot of people with. My mom, she had a kid before me, put him up for adoption. She didn't really want to be a mom to me either, and she had a kid after me and didn't really want to do that either. So all 3 of us ended up in different places. And so it was very obvious to her brother, my uncle, who was like, okay, like this can't continue. She needs some stability. I have stability. I've been with my partner for some time now, and I have a home of my own, and like I can do this for her. So this is assumptive, and also it's not for a good reason, but I was kind of the favorite of my uncle and my grandparents because I was in such a troubled situation at so young with my mom that they took a liking to me of wanting to take care of me and spend more time with me. And so naturally, of course, you grow a relationship with those people. And I adore my cousins, but I know that I got a lot more FaceTime with, those relatives than I think they did. But anyway, so I still have a great relationship with my dad. He is a very good person. He's a very hardworking, salt of the earth man that
He's in Canada.
Yep. And he still does a lot. Even after my stepmom passed and before, he's done a lot for my stepbrother and stepsister. And he's, again, very hardworking man. If you walk around that small town and you go into any old hardware store with the bell on the door and, the bank, the one bank and there's one of everything, one stoplight, whatever. And you ask anybody, they know who he is and they have nothing but lovely things to say. So it's nice. And he literally called me about 10 minutes ago and I missed the call. But yeah, he's a wonderful person and I'm grateful for that. And he's been very grateful to my gay parents for what they gave me. Sure. He's been nothing but appreciative because he was young too, and he had moved on with his life. And my biological mom, because I did have to go through, they had to go through the legal process to adopt me, and it had to be a relative because at the time I don't think it was legal for gay people to adopt. So it worked out that it was a relative. So anyway, he was very grateful for that process, and I'm grateful for all of it.
Yeah, you mentioned that you do volunteer work for the LGBT plus
all the
chamber. Yeah, all of the stuff. So what's the mission of that chamber, and what do you do for them?
So they're a great organization. They're actually the first and only LGBT plus chamber of commerce in the state of South Carolina. So even Columbia, Charleston, they're the first one. So it's economic empowerment for everybody. They believe that you as a business owner, whether you're of the queer community or an ally, that you should have the opportunity to connect and grow through a network that makes sense for you, a safe network too. Safe is a big word in this community of the LGBT plus community. It's safe is important because you want to be doing business with and be in connection with people who want to treat you like a human. It's just being treated like an equal. It's, and our venue, we're proud to say in our businesses, we're big allies, and we are one of the only venues, especially of our size, that will allow same-sex marriages. And, my lovely CEO has made it known, if you want to get a document notarized for something because you're getting your name changed, or you're changing your gender or whatever. If you can't find somebody who will do that, because we do live in it's pretty stagnant here, especially after living in Atlanta for so long. I was surprised, but shouldn't be surprised. But anyway, so we're trying to provide a safe place too. We'll notarize those documents. We'll do an on the spot ceremony with a little notification, but it's shocking how not progressive it is here. So,
well, I've lived in the upstate, let's see, since the summer of 19, going on 6 years almost. And in the Greenville area, of course, it's moved some in direction from even when I got here.
Yeah.
Obviously not as far down the road as like you said, in
Charlotte.
certainly not
Yeah.
Seattle.
We're clearly not Seattle.
Or
we may be Toledo
whatever,
at
but,
best.
But you have your fingers in quite a few things, but you also do a guest lecture every summer at Clemson about organized culture during onboarding, and it should hopefully to our listeners at this point be blatantly obvious what that is. Culture. So, but what's that all about?
So I, through my job, because again, one of the kind of doors that got kicked open for me was meeting Barry Garst, who him and his wife, Stephanie, are wonderful professors at Clemson University. And Barry teaches a summer course called Managing Staff and Volunteers. And it's to help, local businesses and organizations just really give that experience to those people. And a lot of the students are just full-time professionals who work in like kind of youth-based or human service organizations. And my lecture, again, is about integrating organizational culture into that onboarding process. So it's like the importance of giving that good experience we discussed when you're leading into a new job or you're going to volunteer somewhere. Because even if you're going to give your time, I mean, like you want a good experience there too. You don't want to show up with no idea of what you're supposed to do. So those first days, as Barry, the professor, and I like connected on are just so important. And so it helps as the experience kind of moves through time, whether it is for a short blip of volunteering or if it is your career. So we really connected on that cause. I was telling him about it, and I think he saw the look on my face of how passionate I am. So it was a good fit. And I've going into my third year of doing that. So
maybe I missed it, but so you do this lecture at Clemson about onboarding, but do students attend?
Yes.
So it's
a class.
Are you helping students who are thinking about starting businesses? Do business leaders attend this to help their onboarding process with their companies, or what are we? I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding, because I think that the college experience has changed so much. I mean, like when I was going, I'm in my 40s. I mean, it was very black and white. It was like, these are the classes and you take them and they're available if you're an enrolled student. Now I think you can grab classes, some free, I think, and some that are shorter. This is just for the summer that he teaches this. And I think it's like I said, it's full-time professionals. So who have organizations
right. All right.
And they're trying to provide a better experience for whoever it is. Now, I think some of them, based on my interactions with them, I think some of them are sent by their companies to try to get, that knowledge. And then some of them are probably business owners. So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of back up just a minute. This is the personal section, which can get like scattered in little random questions, but after your time as an au pair, or maybe during that time, I don't know, you can clean it up for me, but you bounced around to 6 different states. You landed in Atlanta, working both as a private and commercial chef. So how does one go from au pair to chef to director of talent and culture? There's a lot of steps in between there.
So I will do the short version. So I worked as an au pair. I was naturally really good. I what I called myself a Mary Poppins nanny or like a Windex nanny. Like parents would come home, everything is good. Secret time, I don't have children. I don't really enjoy them. Probably gonna get shot here for it, but I was good with them. Like I do have a very like method. Like I was like, okay, now it's time for this. Okay, now you're gonna brush your teeth. Okay, now did you do your homework? And they liked me. Don't get me wrong, but I had friends who now work as like child therapists and stuff. Who those kids loved, right? They were the special magical nanny with all like all the jazz and bells and whistles. But I was getting everything done. Parents adored me, for that reason. But later on, I first worked in a commercial kitchen. I left that and was like, I need a job. What am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to work in a restaurant, right? And restaurants, it does make it easy to move up naturally from like you're the dishwasher to the line cook to the So I kind of moved up into that and started cooking and really loved it. And then I left because I realized I didn't like being in a sweaty, hot kitchen, moving at that pace constantly. It was very stressful. There was also a lot of like addictions going on. And I had come from a very hard partying lifestyle when I was an au pair, much to the chagrin of the people I worked for. I'm so sorry. I love you all. But I was early 20s in a new country that was, alcohol is very cheap in America. I don't know if you know. So
No,
it's light and day difference from Canada. So I was partying all the time. So anyway, that kitchen was not a conducive environment for me. I made it about a year and some change. And then I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm probably going to seep back into some old ways, or I just, it was very stressful. I worked for two brothers from New York, and there was a lot of energy there that I wasn't familiar with as a sweet little Canadian. I was just like, this is a lot. So I left and I looked into another nannying job because it was natural for me, but not a live-in one, just regular. It was a lovely couple in Atlanta. And they were looking for somebody to come, and their kids were older though. And so it wasn't these little tiny, children. And so I started working with them, and then all of a sudden I was cooking for them because I had the time, right? These kids didn't need as much. And the woman was like, "You're a lovely cook." Like, it's like, thank you. I have a little background. I've always loved to cook since I was a little kid. I taught myself to read with cookbooks. I watched cooking shows instead of cartoons. It's natural. So I started cooking for them. And then all of a sudden it was like this swing of now that's all I'm doing for them. So I would cook when they had guests, do like a dinner party situation. If they had a holiday, I would either prep or cook for them on that holiday, just depending on where it fell and what their travel plans were. They would have like a St. Patrick's Day party every year, and I would make like a lamb Guinness stew, and like traditional soda bread. And like it became like this thing of just inventing this experience for them that just really, really hit home with me. And I felt this passion for it. And so I started writing my own recipes and shopping around town and meeting other chefs and getting inspiration, and just really loved it. Around the 5-6 year mark, I just could tell that I could just tell that my time was done with that. And it had nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with me almost. It just was like, I'm growing up now. I need a big girl job. Like, it's time. Like, I don't have health insurance. My wage depends on how many hours I work. And sometimes if I was sick or if they would go away for a week, I didn't have a paycheck, and that was rough. So again, lovely people, but that's just how this, industry works. So I went and started working as the assistant to the doctor I spoke about in Atlanta that I worked for 6 years. And he naturally, kept me as his assistant. He thought I did a good job. Noticed I had a knack for the company culture, helped me, we worked together to get that off the ground. And then by the time I was getting ready to leave, because I was starting to get stagnant there too, I moved to Greenville, and then she noticed I had those talents. So that's kind of like that's the path.
Well, how did you meet her?
Oh, so she had put an ad out on Indeed. I hadn't left Atlanta yet. I was getting ready to, and I was ready to leave without having a job. My husband and I had been saving and planning for this. We had already put in our notice with our landlord that we were leaving. And so we were like, let's save and make it work when we get there. The first day we landed here, I did not have the job. I was, just in talks with her. I did 4 interviews because she's very particular with her assistants, which she should be. You have access to her life, personal, financial, and my husband on the first day, he loves to play disc golf, which I'm going to recommend you have him on. He can talk about that. But he busted his knee open and needed a lot of stitches. And so he couldn't work. And so I was like, I really better land this job because kind of relying on that. And luckily it worked out. And so I'm, through Indeed was able to get, secure that interview. And I think the fact that I had worked for somebody with multiple brands, that's a unique situation. And then coming to work for her and she has multiple brands, I think that made her feel comfortable. And also I had a lot of experience. So I think that was important to her.
Nice. You already mentioned just in casual passing, we talked about a podcast, and you have one too.
Yeah.
There's people involved.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's a joint venture with you and your husband. So what's the aim of the podcast, and how did that happen?
So he had been talking about it for years. He's like, we need to do a podcast. I think we're funny. And I was like, wow, okay. And he is very funny. And so he started another brand that we'll talk about later, but there's people involved came out of the fact that, like, when we meet people like you, we're going to pick your brain. Even if we're just, waiting in line at Starbucks, I'm going to be like, so you're a realtor. Like, tell me about that. You have a cigar company? So I want to know everything about cigars. Like, we're very curious people. And our tagline is, we're being curious, not judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we both have learned as we've grown up, is that it is important to be curious and not judgmental. I mean, you can learn a lot from the people that you're encountering every single day. And us being from very different backgrounds from each other, but also from everybody around us, we were learning from each other and everybody. So it's a human interest podcast. It's similar to what you're talking about. We don't talk to so much about professionals per se or entrepreneurs. I think yourself being one, you naturally are, gravitated towards those other people. I'm more gravitated because I have a fairly interesting background of other people with interesting backgrounds. So like our first episode was a friend of ours who was in the Air Force for 10 years. Rick, my husband, and I have no background in the military. I do have some friends who are in the military, but like, tell me all about that. And then second episode, I'm drawing a blank because it's just how fast time moves.
Oh, I know.
Anyway, we had our friend on who he grew up with a brother with autism, and he played in a heavy metal band, and he's a big gamer, and he's an artist. And so like just people with these like very, we had our friend Shakim on, who's a personal trainer. And I just started a big gym rat journey about 1.5 years ago. And so I wanted to know more. I pick his brain. And I think you meet these people and you may want to ask these questions, but you don't. And I'm not shy, and neither is he. So we ask the question. Sometimes very hard hitting, so, and sometimes very light and fluffy.
Yeah.
What's your favorite flavor of wing? Like when you go get a chicken wing, what do you want? Things like that. Or like, tell me about your childhood. So it varies.
No, that sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a fun podcast. I need to check it out.
You could be on it if you wanted to be.
I'd love to come on and be a guest.
Yeah,
let's do it. And you, your husband also has let me use proper English, an apparel line called How Are You brand.
Yes.
Which is a focus on men's mental health.
Yes.
So what's the catalyst behind that?
So when he met me, I was, I was struggling a little bit mentally. I mean, I think he was too. I don't know who wasn't in life, right, at some point. And eventually I went into therapy for various reasons. I had been in and out over my life, just given, my past and stuff, just trying to like reconcile those thoughts in my head. And so I was in it. And then eventually he was like, we left Georgia and he had this feeling like, I'm feeling disconnected. I'm feeling disengaged. I don't know what's happening in my brain. I've never experienced this before. We moved here and he thought that was the end all be all. Like, oh, we'll figure it out here. Well, he didn't feel any better. And it goes back to everywhere you go, there you are. And so so we talked and I was like, I think therapy would be great for you. And he came from a very traditional, old school household where that wasn't a thing.
And quacks and all that stuff.
Looney Tunes. And so he found a therapist that he still uses today. And she's lovely. And it has helped him a lot. And so he was like, wait a second, I think there's something here. He's like, if this is happening to me, at the time, I think 34-year-old male, where there's the stigma and I was so resistant to this for so many years and it turned out to be a big answer in my life. Why aren't other people doing it? And he started talking with other men, especially, and they were like, well, it's kind of same thing. Like I was either raised that's, quack stuff, or I'm ashamed, to admit that I got to be strong and have pride and stuff. And so he's really helped a lot of people. I mean, like I can name 6 people I know he's influenced to go to therapy who are men. And it's not just about men. It's got a really nice message of just positivity. And, the apparel line is just to show support. I have one T-shirt that says like, you matter with the semicolon, and one that says do better. Like just, and it's not meant to be negative. It's not a threat like do better. It's like, just go out there and do better. So
is it a part of the podcast at all? So
it was kind of the catalyst for the podcast. So like he started that company first. He started doing his designs and he has, different things. But then it kind of became a thing where because of the brand and because of his journey in therapy, he became more comfortable talking with people and he wanted to like express like that I care about you and, the world in general and meet people. And then he was like, I'm really interested. I'm meeting all these people with cool backgrounds. What do we do with this? So he came to me and was like, let's do a podcast. Like we have really good banter, even when we're just the two of us at our house. Why can't we do this? And I was resistant for a long time. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of a private person, surprisingly. You'd never know that.
No, I couldn't tell, to be honest.
No, I know.
Very much conversationalist.
Yeah. And a lot of what I talk about in my life is to educate other people. But I was like, nobody wants to listen to him and I talk. Like, that's silly. And so he was like, let's just do it for us then. And that kind of hit home. I was like, okay, we'll do it for us. And so we did record 3 episodes. We recorded 4, and then it just started. We bought the equipment. Like, you have lovely equipment too. It started to like feel like a thing. And even now today, if we're just doing it for us, I don't care. Like it's fun. It's fun and it's engaging. And we have a thing where everybody who comes to we interview, we cook a meal for them, or I do.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm definitely coming. I'm definitely gonna be a guest.
I give them 4 choices of things. Oh, dude, you got it. Give me an excuse to make poutine, and I'll do it all day long. I've never had anybody request a Canadian food. I love that. So
I've never had it.
Oh, well, there we go. I try to cook things people have never had. And so they love that part. It's kind of the draw. And it's like, I'll make you a meal, and then you sit down and talk. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we have a really good time with it.
That's so fun. Is there anything, for lack of a better way to put it, anything actually quote unquote official that he's doing as an organization to help guys with men's health, or is it more just kind of casual right now? Here's my brand, and just talking to people and encouraging them to get help if they need it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say that he's on the to me, again, I love an analogy. He's on the diving board bouncing, and he's ready to jump. So he started this idea immediately with every month any of the profits from the company would go directly to a local business that's doing great things. His first couple of organizations, he had a hard time getting footing with that, but one that he's kind of stuck with is Kamal 864, which I know Claudia mentioned. Dana, the chef and owner, and her husband Anthony are fantastic people who they would give their shirt off their back literally for this community, and they're just amazing. So he has done a lot of work with them. This past December, he used all of his profits to go and buy groceries to cook food for Dana to serve to the community for Christmas. So we spent our Christmas similar to how Claudia spent her Thanksgiving, serving the community. And that really helps drive the point home. We wear our How Are You brand shirts, and we, just try to do what we can. Yeah. But that's where it's kind of launching. And he wants to find other organizations to work with. One that he's mentioned is Upstate Warrior, or, a couple other ones that are of interest with him. But he's on the diving board bouncing, just ready to launch. And he's also talking about doing some kind of event, like a How Are You brand day, where, there's a lot of mental health days like that existing around the country. He wants to do something like that here. And I think it could be pretty cool.
No, I think so. I mean, men's health is a big deal. And I talked a little bit about this on my podcast this last Monday with the guy that is running the men's health clinics, Game Day Greenville here. He's a former substance abuse counselor, and we just talked about that. Just the guys are just taught from a young age, and not to be repetitive to my listeners, but just gonna be tough, don't cry, walk it off, rub some dirt on it, and that never really goes away.
Nope.
And so you can get, I kind of liken it to the whole spiel that the flight attendant, here's your analogy, right? That the flight attendants give you, in case of an emergency, the mask is going to drop from the ceiling.
Yes.
Put yours on first, and then, put it on. If somebody needs help, then put it on them. You're going to get to the place where if you haven't helped yourself, you're going to be worthless to everybody else.
110%. And I consider it investing in yourself. So going to therapy, going to the gym, eating properly, and taking self-care, which self-care has been blown up via TikTok. Self-care is not face masks and spending all your money on Amazon. No offense. That's for another day.
Retail therapy.
Yeah, retail therapy.
Doesn't help.
But I would say that those things are investing in you. So for instance, you're a dad, right?
Yep.
And so when you do those things, right, you whatever your self-care looks like, or however you invest in yourself, your children are going to get a better version of you because of it. And your wife is going to get a better Chris. And I think those things matter. It's not the way people look at the path quite often. They look at those things as selfish. I'm selfish for spending my money and my time on the gym, on self-care, on therapy. And it's not. It's you're going to get this, and not everybody looks at it that way. Some people are just scared to do those things. But I think it makes people better parents and better partners.
Yeah, you have to be healthy.
Employees.
You have to be healthy if you're going to help other people. That's just
yes.
how it is. It's not hard. It's not a hard concept. So is there a website for the brand?
Yes. So you can go to howareyoubrand.com. And he's also on Instagram. It's how_our_you_brand because somehow it wasn't available. And then he's on Facebook as well as How Are You Brand. So yeah, great apparel. Everything is very good quality because he has a background in apparel. So he worked for a Second Amendment apparel company for a while, and he learned a lot about that matters, quality of product. Just like you were talking with Moultrie, he actually knows who they are. I think they.
Oh, really?
I think they may have collabed at some point. So
talk about a huge difference between America and Canada. Second Amendment.
You weren't lying.
All right. Well, look, I know that you had a few questions that you wanted to ask me.
I do.
So let's do it.
So my first one is, because I believe we should always kind of be learning and growing, like, what are your personal and professional practices that you're kind of working on developing right now? So let's talk professional first.
Okay. Well,
if you need clarification,
give me some clarification.
So meaning, like, what are you doing to advance your career right now, like, for yourself? Not because your boss asked you to, if you have a boss.
I am my boss. Because I'm 100% self-employed.
I love that for you. So what are you doing because you want to grow yourself professionally? Not because you're being forced to. Like, don't say, like, oh, I'm going to go take my continuing ed. Like, no, I'm not interested in that. Like, what are you doing either for the cigar box or for your real estate ventures, like, to grow right now?
Sure. So with the cigar box, I do spend time reading about cigars. I mean, you have to be knowledgeable about your product. And even it was evidenced in some of our early conversation. You want to know, well, how long does the fermentation time take? Well, that's probably a question I should know the answer to if I'm a cigar guy, right? How long does the curing process take? Well, that's probably a question that I should know the answer to. So if you're going to be a professional at any level, you need to be able to know your product. You need to be able to know how to connect people with the product that you're offering. And I think, on some other levels that I'm working on, unbeknownst to you up to this point in time, known to a few other people. So I have worked myself into a small speaking role in a short film that's being filmed in Charlotte in next month.
Oh, wait, was that on your Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
See, if you're a follower, you'll know this, guys.
If you're a follower, yep. I also am in the final round of selection to be a contestant on a game show shot in Atlanta.
Oh, my gosh.
Coming up soon.
So
cool. Several months ago, I just decided that, look, a lot of spit everywhere. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
A lot of confidence will come to you if you start a business.
Mm-hmm.
And if you figure it out and if you have any success at it, then it's just that, like, all right, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then, like I said earlier in the podcast, if you do that, you start getting more creative and you think of other things and you begin to push yourself. And I thought, okay, so I got my real estate license and I started this cigar business and I did the grind because when I first started, I had an 8-foot folding table and a pop-up tent and a table full of cigars.
Isn't that how it always goes, right?
I mean, that's how it goes. And I did the grind and I did the events and I saved my money and I paid cash for the trailer that I have now. And then it was like, you should start a podcast because, number one, it's a super easy way to network and meet interesting people and have interesting conversations. And it's a simple way for me to promote my businesses. And I spent other things in my wheelhouse. And this is all about developing myself and the talents that I know that I have. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, I was a pastor for 12 years in Southern California, so I'm very accustomed to public speaking and speaking with emotion. So I'm like, you can deliver lines.
Yeah.
And I've seen some commercials, and I'm like, dude, if that guy can be on TV, if that guy can be in a film, well, heck, I can.
Oh, yeah.
So I had some professional headshots done, and my wife and I talked about it, and I just finally told her, I'm like, look, babe, at the absolute worst, all that happens is I spent $300 and I got some nice photos that I can use for my other businesses.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
why not? Let's
Why
just
not?
go for it. So I created a few profiles on some casting websites, and I'm working towards a little bit of acting and voiceover work. Started this podcast. And what I would say and I'm working on, having spent 12 years of public speaking, that also means 12 years of writing.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to try and work at getting into some of the local print magazines and write cigar content for their leisure and lifestyle section.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's doing that at
I'm
all.
trying to think.
I could be wrong. I'm actually, this coming Tuesday, I don't know if you know who John Malick is. He's a local chef, restaurant coach, James Beard nominee. He writes the juice column for it's called The Juice for the Greenville Journal.
Yeah, I have heard of him. Yeah.
So he's coming on the podcast.
Oh, yay. I saw you had Craig on here too.
I had Craig Coots.
Yeah.
Craig.
I saw him last night at a Euphoria event.
Great guy. So I'm like, I'm just going to try and develop myself and further the talents that I know I have and utilize them and marry all of these things together. And for somebody that's out there listening and you're a creative type, like, I think you need to just start doing the things that you want to do that people can't tell you no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I started a business with a cigar business, and you try and get at events, and guess what? Plenty of people are going to tell you no. But if you want to be a writer, guess what? Nobody can tell you no, you can't have a blog.
It's true.
So just start writing. Nobody can tell you no, you can't have a podcast. Well, yes, you can.
Here we are.
Nobody can tell you no. So do the things that nobody can tell you no, but you've got to be consistent at it, and you've got to post about it, and you've got to make connections. There is some grind to it behind the scenes, but if you want it,
it's a really good way of looking at it. Honestly, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's cool to hear about like the things you have going on too. Like,
so I don't know if that really answers your question. How am I developing myself?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to work hard at doing things I know that I have talents to do.
And I know that you work in real estate, so I don't want to hear like I'm going to sell a house tomorrow or like I hope you do exactly. Like, what do you have going on other than that?
I could really use a sale.
Okay, well, if you're listening, and I think he already talked about it, but and we can talk about that after too. But like, but personally, also, what is bringing you joy? Like,
what is personally bringing me joy?
Yeah, what does that look like for you?
I'm a pretty low key guy.
Okay,
to be honest, I'm pretty just like a lot of guys, just even keel, right? What brings me joy is my wife.
Mm-hmm.
She's my best friend. What brings me joy is my children.
Mm-hmm.
Just spending time with them, spending time with my children, giving them all the love and attention that I can give them. My fulfillment, is in my marriage. The marriage that I have, I really get to be who I am, and she welcomes that. And she encourages me in so many ways. She, like, in all of the things that I've ventured to do, whether it's get my real estate license, start the cigar business, and my wife is not a huge fan of the fact that I smoke cigars. Start a podcast, go into modeling and acting and voiceover. She's never said no. That's not good for you. It's always go for it.
I was just going to say that, like, I completely understood. So I was married before. This is my second marriage. Mm-hmm. I skipped that part in the timeline, but because you know what? I was young, and that's it. And he's a lovely person. I have nothing but nice things to say, luckily. And but we just grew to be very different people, which is what happens when you get married young, because your frontal lobe isn't even developed. I think, an Atlanta podcast host said it best. Like, you shouldn't be married. You shouldn't be allowed to get a marriage license until you're 27, because that's when your frontal lobe is developed. But anyway, but so yes. And now that I'm now being with somebody who allows me to be myself is a world of difference. Whether that is something they agree with or not, they just still are like, green light. If that makes sense for you, I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so a lot of my joy comes from people, not from things.
Yeah.
I am as I've said many times on my podcast, I am a Christian, unashamedly so. My relationship with God through Jesus brings me joy. My wife, my children, my mom and dad, my brothers, and my close friends. And just at the place in my life where I know that I don't have anything to prove to anybody other than to myself, right? I am enough.
Yeah. I love that. You are enough. That's a big part of the How Are You brand message is, just that feeling that you're describing. And, my second question being like, what does happiness look like to you? I think you just described it, is like your relationships with those things. And actually you remind me a lot of the salt of the earth people that I grew up with. I mean, I didn't grow up in a fancy place. I didn't know anybody with a fancy car. Even the kids who I went to school with whose parents were like doctors and stuff, you wouldn't know. I mean, nobody had money where I grew up from. Yeah. Like, and if they did, it wasn't a point of, it wasn't a point of contention for sure. So when I moving here, the economic classes really changed my views on things. But yeah, like you very much remind me of like the hardworking people, and even living in Texas too, like exploring Texas. I can see that.
I love Texas. I miss it.
I miss the food.
I miss the food. I grew up in, Southeast Texas, really close to Louisiana. A lot of Cajun influence out there. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. But anyway, just my happiness is, it's not from things, and I say it's from people, but it's from a very select few people. I am not, just for who I am, and like I said earlier, like I know I'm enough. I'm enough from these people. They give me the love and the affirmation, the things that I need. 99% of the people, I am not concerned with what you think of me. I don't really care. I'm going to be a nice guy. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be helpful if I can. But if you think I don't care, because there's a very select small group of people that their opinion matters to me.
Yep. And that's how it should be, because otherwise you're wasting a lot of energy and time worrying about that you could be spending on something else, like yourself or your children or your wife or God or whatever. So.
Yeah. I think it was Winston Churchill. This won't be the exact numbers. I love quotes. I'm a quote guy. But
me too.
Winston Churchill said, when you're 20, you're worried about what everybody thinks of you. When you're 40, you don't care what anybody thinks about you. And when you're 60, you realize no one was ever thinking about you.
Isn't that the truth? Coming from the 40s bracket, I really don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
And I can't, eventually I'll be like, no one was looking. I know who was paying attention. Anyway. They're thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, quite often that's the case. And I'm learning that through my job too, is like, you meet lovely people, but then you learn at the end of the day that like, they're not really paying attention to the mistakes I make when I'm speaking and things like that. They're not going home thinking about it the way I am. So my last question for you is, what is your death row meal? And it can be courses, because mine is, like. No,
you got like 12 course meal.
No, it's not 12, but it's a few. So I don't like to tell people they can only pick one thing, like other, like I've read a little bit about this only because I'm interested in the culinary side, not the death row side, but like Timothy McVeigh, for example, just wanted mint chocolate chip ice cream. I was like, how boring, like pick a meal. But anyway, so what do you got?
That is a very difficult question. And I saw it the other day, but on a failure on my part to not put a lot of thought into it. However,
this is not your final answer, just so you know.
Right.
There is no electric chair around the corner.
Yeah. Probably a ribeye.
Oh,
ribeye, grilled over oak. Okay.
I thought you were going to say mesquite coming from Texas, but
no. A ribeye grilled over oak, medium. I mean, give me a big one. Give me 16 ounce.
Mm-hmm. We're not messing around.
No, we're not playing around here. Grilled medium. Probably gonna have some really creamy, mac and cheese, maybe with some bacon in it. Use Gruyere.
Okay. Okay.
Finish it with some toasted breadcrumbs on top.
Love it.
Yeah. We'll start with a Caesar salad.
Okay.
And I want the Caesar salad. I want it made with like the anchovy paste.
I was gonna say,
Don't buy me like stupid store bought Caesar salad dressing. Okay.
Please, if you haven't, go to Mill City Kitchen. It's over in in the Judson Mill district where I work.
Yeah.
That Caesar salad, I don't like Caesar salad. I'm not gonna lie to you because I've had so many bad ones. They have the anchovy, the charred lemon situation. You need to go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway, Caesar salad, and this probably doesn't go with Caesar salad, but that's fine. This is my final meal.
Yeah.
I get to make it whatever I want it to be.
No one's
But
judging.
I probably want also on the appetizer to come before the salad. I probably want some. The word escapes me. What is it when you have the bread and the tomatoes?
Bruschetta?
Yeah.
Bruschetta, actually,
Yeah.
is how you pronounce it. But
So we'll start with some bruschetta.
yeah.
We'll move to the salad, then we'll have the steak with the mac and cheese. Now I can't. I'm struggling on the third side.
Well, yeah.
On the second side, excuse me. I mean, we could go with a really nice twice baked potato, but that seems redundant with the mac and cheese. So, maybe we go with some bacon wrapped asparagus.
Okay, I like it.
I need a 16-ounce freshly iced, and I want it in the can. I want a 16-ounce Dr. Pepper in the can, pulled straight from the ice, because Dr. Pepper in the can is better than out of a plastic bottle. But I also do want some bourbon, and then for dessert, I need a cigar, and for dessert,
I was gonna say if there's no cigar, I was gonna be really disappointed.
yeah, no, there's a cigar there, and then for dessert, I probably want, I don't know. I'm torn. I either want I have three options and I don't know what to pick. I love homemade lemon bars.
Oh, that's a good one.
They're so good. I'm a fan.
Very classic.
I'm a fan of Bluebell cookies and cream. It's my favorite. But I could really go just for a homemade, really well-made banana pudding.
So the banana pudding thing definitely tells me if you're from the South. The lemon bars are very classic. I like that you put a little thought into this, but I mean, the main thing that I get from if I ask people this, which I don't ask it a lot, is that it's actually pretty difficult to pick, but also that, like, what do you want that last, feeling to be, and what brings you the feeling? I was waiting for the biscuits and gravy, I won't lie, but I'm glad to hear that you've gone to more of a main entree. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and everything is that whole gamut there. That's all about rich flavors.
Well, and if you're going out, go big,
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Well, those are great questions.
Well, thank you. If you come on my podcast, or our podcast, I should say, we always shoot. It's things like this. It's a very wild mix of and we try to separate it kind of like you do. The first half is just tell us about your career and the other half is diving in. So,
sure.
So yeah, but we want to keep it fun too.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's wrap the show. Got a couple of questions for you. Carolina Cigar Company hazelnut cigarillo. What's your thoughts?
So I loved the wrapper. It was so sweet and it's really pretty too. I was looking at how well it's made, and it was lovely, and it smoked really easy. It was very light. I didn't feel. I'm starting to get allergy congested, which I feel like everybody is, and from talking for so long. But anyway, I thought it burned really well, super even. And I know that's a thing with cigars too. Really smokable. I would love another one at some point in my soon.
I can send you home with one.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was a really good experience, and it didn't last too long. I didn't get tired of it and have to put it out. It went out once, and I just let it go out, and then I just relit it. But
not a big deal.
It didn't go out too many times either, so I was really impressed. I really liked it.
Good deal. For the St. Louis Rey Serie G, great. I mean, it was a good cigar for such a budget stick. It had a little bit of spice on it. I would say some wood tones there, some woody notes, maybe a touch of leather. The construction on it was excellent, burned even all the way down, didn't have any trouble staying lit. Flavor wise though, it was a little monotone from beginning to end. But for $4, a 5-pack online for $20 plus tax and shipping, but I'm not shooting for the moon there. All right, Krista, here's where you're going to help me out.
Okay.
Interview recommendations. You said I need more women.
So my first one is Terry Youngblood Musalf. She is a former chef of Sobeys and Passerelle Bistro, and she now is running Camilla Kitchen, which is inside of M. Judson Bookstore. That is in that old courthouse building that's like right in downtown by the city of Greenville and everything else right by it's right in the center. It's hard to miss. It's one of the most beautiful buildings, big steps going up the front. Beautiful bookstore, but it also has the cutest little kitchen inside that's serving different coffees and pastries and sandwiches and things like that. So Terry is there now, but Terry has had a very illustrious career. She's one of my idols. She's one of the best chefs I've ever had the experience of eating the food of. And she also happens to be a woman. She's a badass. I just think that she would be a great fit for your podcast. So if I can help you get in touch with her, I did run into her last night. I mentioned this already. And she was like, let's go, because that's Terry's attitude. So yeah, it would be a blessing to have her on here. The other one would be my husband, Rick, who runs How Are You brand. I'm not very involved with How Are You brand, to be honest. I happily wear the t-shirts and spread the message, but it's him doing all of the work. Yep. And so I would love for him to speak on it more, and he can talk more about there's people involved as well, the podcast, but he's great. And he's a big disc golf enthusiast. He can teach you everything you need to know if you'd like to. He's played in tournaments, and he gets a lot of people playing who have never played before. So it's a big passion for that. And, he's got an interesting background. He, worked for that a Second Amendment apparel company, but I can't talk. And then the third person would be Aaron George. So Aaron is actually a fellow realtor, but he's in North Carolina. So I don't think that's a point of contention for you, hopefully. But
no, I'm not licensed in North Carolina.
Yeah, so he's in North Carolina. He lives in Asheville. He is a beekeeper, an amateur beekeeper, and
that would be awesome.
Yeah, and he's also a Highlands game athlete. So he's, the coolest guy.
Lifting like poles and rocks.
Oh God, yeah. He was with a group. I don't know. It's called Throw Bros. I don't know, where they just pick heavy things up and throw them. But actually, when we interviewed him, he worked for our company for some time before his family made the decision to move to Asheville. And a great guy that we still keep in contact with. I'm going to see him this weekend, actually. But he, when we looked up what he was doing with the Highland Games, it's impressive. And he also builds bows, like bow and arrow bows. So I think you guys could have a good time.
I think it sounds, we could have a good time.
Yeah, I think you got some great people there that you should talk to, and I'm always happy to provide others. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll definitely get that contact information from you at some point. Last chance, or not last chance, but last opportunity here. What's the website, and do you know the Instagram off your head for High Spirits?
Yes. So highspiritshospitality.com is the best way to book things. If you want to look on social media, you can look up High Spirits Hospitality. We also have all of our sub-companies, Liquid Catering, Bravo One Protection, High Spirits Events. Those are all on Instagram, just as they're named. We are on TikTok as well for High Spirits Hospitality and High Spirits Events. And so best way is just Liquid-Catering if you want the bar, liquid-catering.com, or Bravo One Protection, Bravo #1 Protection.com for security services. So
awesome. And if people want to follow you,
yeah,
how do they do that?
So I'm on Instagram mainly. I under Krista Durling. Durling's my maiden name, so it's Krista KrittaDurling on Instagram, and you can follow me on there. I'm usually featuring a lot of my adventures I'm on the Euphoria board of directors, so you'll see a lot about events there, and then the LGBT plus chamber, everything I've got involved going on with them, and a little bit of my personal life, but I like to showcase what I got going on professionally as well. So
I need to interview some of those Euphoria people.
Oh, you should. Yeah. They're amazing people. And 4 very badass women running that, just so you know. And I think that they would be, any of them would be great to interview. Yeah. So
awesome. Well, look, if you are in need of my services as a realtor or with the Cigar Box, you can get me directly at 864-207-2316. You can visit mobilecigarbbox.com to check me out. You can you can shoot me an email about real estate to cstrother@cdanjoyner.com. If you'd like to be on the show or know somebody I should interview, send an email to sundayafternoonsmokes@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, whether it was on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Share it with your friends, share it with your families, share it on your socials, share it with the world, because Sunday Afternoon Smokes is something the world needs.
It really does.
Krista, thank you for your time. We've gone almost 3 hours.
Is that a record?
No, it's close. We've taken a significant chunk of your day, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, it's been fun. All right. Y'all take it easy. I'll be back next Sunday with a fresh episode. Later.